Your mama.
Come and knock.
I just want to shake some sense into you kids. Why, hello, everyone.
Preferably with a paint shaker.
Yes.
Yes.
And you get to see our faces again because for some goddamn reason you like seeing them. Or actually, I just think you like seeing Cat.
Should I put on a different shirt then?
If you want to. I mean, I'm wearing a pretty scraggly shirt here. I mean, this thing's falling apart. Doesn't even fit anymore. Anyway, hello. How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Tired. Laughing at the news.
Which part?
The fucking, we lost a plane. The government lost a plane.
Well, they
I've
found
been waiting all day to hear RALT'S go off about it.
They found it. It's just oh fuck that fucking plane, man. He hits autopilot. Well, when you eject, you're supposed to hit autopilot so it levels out and you don't get you don't get fucked up when you eject. But then they could have just kept their fucking mouth shut. But no, they have to be. We lost the plane. Can everybody go out and look for it? It's like we pay you $2 trillion a year. Go find your own fucking plane.
Here's one thing that gets me is I know for a fact this isn't the first time that it's taken them a while to find a downed plane. It's the fact that it's like they're asking the citizenry for help. I'm like, what the fuck?
Have you seen the memes of the milk carton? Have you seen
Yes.
me with the fucking jet on it?
I kept reposting that meme of, on one hand, it was a $35 million jet fighter. On the other hand, there was a spider in the cockpit.
Did you see the one where it had the article that the plane has gone missing, and then next to it was the article about the Apple tracker that only costs like $20 to put on the plane?
I mean, I get how they lose shit, but it was just like, really? You're going to ask people to get in their trucks and go find it? Oh, I hate you so much.
Well, they don't have the manpower anymore, as we found out.
No, they don't.
Oh, shit. Everything's a hot fucking mess. I love it.
Oh,
So we have
everything's
few
a
things
hot
we can
mess.
cover. Do we know why they ejected yet?
No.
Oh, okay.
But whatever it was, whatever happened is enough that the Marine Corps, and it hasn't been confirmed. It's been confirmed the Marine Corps, hasn't been confirmed the Air Force and the Navy yet, but they have grounded every airframe.
Yeah, I heard about
And
that.
normally when they ground it,
every plane,
every airframe. Normally it'd be grounding every F-35 until they figure out what went wrong, if anything went wrong.
so,
But no, they grounded everything.
Well, this is hot on the tail of last month that F-18 crashing at Miramar.
Yeah.
So and an Osprey crashed as well. So
Ospreys crash all the fucking time.
Yeah,
Guys,
like
I'll be
saying
right
the sun-
back. I'm being signaled by Chris. Hold on.
The sun came up. Oh, you mean an Osprey crashed? Yeah, same thing.
yeah, same thing.
That and Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Fuck, I hate Blackhawks. Everybody's like, oh, it's a great plane. It's a great helicopter. No, it wasn't. Maybe it is now, but it wasn't back then.
Are you a firm believer that if your wings are going faster than the fuselage, you're fucked?
Yeah. I also know that it was considered bad luck to fly over a school bus in a Blackhawk because it might fall on it. But holy fuck, I mean, they're like, oh, find our plane for us. Get fucked. I give you millions, trillions of dollars a year. Go find it yourself, you lazy fuck. Chase some of them fucking Air Force airmen out of the fucking barracks and make them do it.
Didn't
Steve
you guys
pointed
have it
out
on
to me-
radar?
Steve pointed out to me that it disappeared over South Carolina, and also like 2 nuclear warheads also disappeared at one point in South Carolina. And
Oh,
that
those
was
fell in
the-
a swamp. Those fell in the swamp and were gone forever.
No, just like South Carolina seems to be where things get lost.
Yes.
I think
Do you want? Okay.
There used to be a lake in Oregon that when you flew over it, you could see a fucking outline of a B-52 bomber because the fucking thing went down in the lake in like World War II.
Damn it, Izzy.
What?
I'm sorry, Ralts. I didn't. I was
No,
not
it's,
expecting.
I'm on the back porch. What is it?
Ishi
Oh,
groped
he
me
went
on
behind
camera.
Pat and jiggled her tits.
Oh. Yeah, I'm on the back porch and miss it, of course. Oh
Well, you
man,
let
I mean,
us
I
know
was
when you come in, and he'll do it again for you.
okay. I was watching that whole thing. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, you know. And you know, everybody's like, well, why didn't they use radar to track it? Oh, I don't know. It has the radar profile of a bumblebee's ass. Well, we know how to find him. No, we don't. That's the problem.
Well, it should have the IFF activated, but
No,
Yeah.
it didn't. It didn't. It did not.
Why?
The transponder was off.
Oh, okay.
That's
That's
like,
stupid.
oh fuck. So then, you know, then we're gonna find out why he ejected. You know, that's gonna be fun because the people are gonna
I
want to
like-
know why he ejected.
I like your theory, spider. You know,
Spider.
it's the only theory that I will accept because it totally makes sense. You know, if people torch their houses because of spider,
Yeah.
of course they're going to down a plane.
Well, there is that story that at least one F-18 did go down during the Gulf War, the second one,
Oh,
Because of
camel?
spiders.
because there were camel spiders in the cockpit.
Yeah.
That's just pull the eject lever. Fuck you. You can keep the plane.
Yeah.
I was gonna say with camel
It's theirs
spiders. Yeah,
now.
sorry.
So we keep
It's your
bringing
plane
it
now.
up. Are we going to do it? Janelle wanted to discuss Chapter 4 of Boobs of Steel. Link in the description, along with a link to RALT'S book. And if you don't own this stuff, what's wrong with you?
Before
So
we
do you-
talk about that, we've had some people in chat asking how we all feel about Fable going in public domain.
It's hilarious.
I love it.
LOL. LOL.
Yeah.
I mean, holy shit. They were trying to fuck him in the ass over it. And he just released it. And I love it because when it was Image, right? Back when
No,
Image
DC.
came out.
It was DC.
Oh, because they were saying it was Image. Okay, so it was DC. So I mean, the fact he just released it in public domain, that is a fucking pro move right there.
Yes, it is.
Hell yeah.
Oh, you know DC wasn't expecting that, and they probably shit their pants hard.
Mm-hmm.
Because now there's going to be people out there who know the lore better than the people at DC, and there's going to be some fantastic stories coming out.
Exactly.
I'm excited to see them.
I don't know that much about Fable. I never read it. I don't really know what's going on, but I do know that if you're getting fucked with by the publisher, just remember they're the fucking junkie. They're the junkie. They're the prison bitch. They come to you, and if they try to fuck you, you look them dead in the eye and go, "You didn't even send a midget. I'm offended. Fuck you," and hang up the phone because you have what they need, not the other way around.
110% agree with you.
No. I mean, the minute they started letting these assholes, these random fucking assholes, you know, it's not even people who fucking know. I mean, like when I got contacted, the first question out of this woman's mouth was, "Do you think there's any way you can turn it into lit RPG?" No, fuck you, click. Because that's
You're
really
supposed
popular
to
right
know.
now. Yeah. Or maybe you could, like, you know, go from writing this to writing, you know, lit RPG. No, get the fuck out, click. I was like, no. And it's like, why? Because that's what's fucking hot right now.
I don't care what's fucking hot right now. This is what I'm doing. Fuck off.
And if you ever get approached by a publisher, press them really hard. And I mean really hard. Don't agree to a fucking thing until they tell you how much you will be getting per unit sold. And you have it in your you have it in your contract that you get to know the sales, how many they sold, not how many the stores sold, how many they sold every month. If they won't give it to you, don't fuck off.
Agreed. That's actually that was standard in, or is still standard in our contracts for 01 publishing. Is no, you get to know exactly how many we sold at what rate, and there's a set price, or there's a actually we go by percentage. There's a set percentage that you get no matter what for every unit.
And the whole-
it's just there you go.
No, keep going. But,
No, and it's because we're a company built by talent who had been shafted before, so we made sure that was in every single one of our contracts.
And remember, all these guys dancing around talking mad shit about how they're traditionally published. 50% of them sold less than 100 books. 90% of them sold less than 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
I'm traditionally published. Well, how many books you sell? You pay back that advance yet, buddy?
So, yeah, that was the best thing he possibly could have done, is gone. Say, oh, it's public domain, screw you.
Yeah. More people should be like, you know what, go fuck yourself.
They should. They really should.
Well, I'm going to share something, and it's not nearly as epic as the story you're telling. It's not nearly as epic as what happened with Fables, but a long time ago, literally 2005, I was commissioned by Jimmy Diggs to help him do a proposal for Star Trek Enterprise, and he had me design this starship to his specs for the script. So
this was specifically for the Kzinti.
I don't know if you guys can you see it, RALT'S?
I'm coming back in.
I think he's still in the back porch.
Okay.
I must say, I love
Oh, that's
it.
nice.
It's got that nice. It's got a very Flash Gordon feel to it.
That looks good.
Good ship.
So this was designed for his script, but the show got canceled, so the episode never had a chance to be made. So before it even got approved, I mean, we showed up at Paramount. We did the promotion. They said, yeah, well, we just got word this week the show is being canceled. And Jimmy wanted to take this and then move on to try and spin it off to his own show proposal. But as time went on, Jimmy and I he started treating me like slave labor. And I did this all on spec. I didn't get paid. He was mentoring me. I did learn quite a bit from Jimmy, but I didn't like how I was being treated. And not quite the impact of Fables, but finally I just said, yeah, this design, public domain, anybody can use it.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. So, yeah.
So anyway.
So similar story. I told Janelle about this.
Yeah, I didn't realize that you made your ship look so awesomely 1930s sci-fi. That's a fantastic ship.
Well,
people are saying also it looks like the ships from Last Exile.
Oh, cool. Well, Jimmy really wanted it to look like it came from the old Star Trek series, and he wanted it to look like the old school Star Trek, but thoroughly unique, that it didn't look like, because so many of the Star Trek ships are kind of like, okay, let's just throw some parts together. A lot of the ships in Star Trek are not really known for their design, especially during the Next Generation era. So, yeah, this was kind of like a gull-winged submarine kind of design. So anyway.
Well, shall we dive into Boobs of Steel? I also want to say I finished Black Amazon of Mars today.
Oh,
so if you want to talk about that too.
I will dive into.
That was actually a very good story. I binged it yesterday and today. So yeah, like it's got lay bracket written all over it. You can see that. We probably should spend if we have time, we can go into Black Amazon and Mars, but I do want to go into chapter 4, decoding the Amazon. Okay, so go ahead.
So chapter 4, decoding the Amazon. After I give kind of a general, the first chapter is a history of basically everything that's going on right now. It's about the culture war and why the book was written. Then I get into the Boobs of Steel archetype and the modern warrior woman archetypes of the 1980s, and how the 80s were kind of a quintessential decade for that. Then I talk about what went on in Japan in the next chapter. After that, I get into the archetype of the Amazon, what she symbolizes, why she was created, the general history of how long she'd been around, and the different types of Amazon archetypes. Then there is decoding the Amazon, and that is a complete history of the warrior woman and Amazonian archetype from Paleolithic man till about the 70s. Yeah?
Yes.
So what did you want to get into about it?
Okay, so we touched on this before because I know I read a couple of paragraphs out of your book, but how the Marxists, the socialists, use the Amazonian archetype, claiming that we actually originated from a matriarchal utopia, and women in charge is awesome. The one guy, what's his name? I can't pronounce it. Bachofen? Jacob Bachofen? Yeah, did the Das Mutterreich in 1861. Yeah, I'll say it again. Bachoven's thesis told of how the pre-dawn days of civilization, humanity lived a communistic and polyamorous lifestyle ruled over by Amazonian matriarchy. The whole thing was bullshit. But Frederick Engels, in his idiocy, was like, oh my God, this is the real fucking deal. And decided when he wrote in his Origin of the Family, Private Property, and the State, it was scientific proof.
He claimed, he used that bogus, bullshit, fraudulent archaeological study and anthropological paper, which was pure fiction. He used that as scientific proof that the family was in fact oppressive.
Well, it comes back around. Let's see, I'm trying to find the section. So I've got my book in front of me. When the suffragettes started, women's rights, rah, 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 you started seeing books again about masculine women, not built buff women like old school She-Hulk, but masculine women who have figured out how to breed out men. And, people started making that the Amazon again. And I mean, there's so much that happens between the late 1800s and to present day. It's wild how many interpretations and how up and down the Amazon has been. Like you talk about in Greek society, that Amazons were, quote, were a wicked, disordered race of women who left their place at home and hearth to become warriors. That was from Kreitzer. I can't find his
Professor
first
Geek.
name. Thank you. A quote, also, stories abounded on how they murdered their male children and removed one of their breasts for more I can't talk. I'm sorry, guys. Efficiency at archery. And that's something that still has persisted today. People still believe they cut off one breast to be proficient, even though it's been proven false. Okay, I lost my spot. But what I thought was great is, Ishi, you pointed out that why all of a sudden did they become sexy in Greek culture? And this is what Ishi says: horny artists, horny storytellers, and very horny artists or audiences. And I absolutely agree, because sex sells. Sex sells hard. Mm-hmm. There is a reason there's nothing but tits and penis all over Greek artwork.
Yeah, I mean, the Amazons were originally a cautionary tale. Originally, the word Amazon was used as an insult for flat-chested women who couldn't get married in Greek society.
Yeah, it was an insult if they called you a flat-chested woman because you couldn't get married. I thought that was great.
Real quick, I have to address something. Tweldy, Ishi designed this shirt for me.
I'll stand up.
So you can... Here, let me stand up so you can read it. Ishi actually designed this shirt for me. You can get it on TeePublic. So anyway.
That's a rad shirt. Also, I do want to point out that Ishi has also pointed out in his book that Amazons probably, or most likely, came around from Russia. It's Pokrova, right? Is that how you pronounce it? Pokrova, Russia?
So, yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So these were actually tall women. They were buried with weapons. They weren't buried like the one where they said that the Norse woman was buried as a full maiden. It turned out it was all bullshit. She had
Yeah,
like a
there are
bull
so
knife.
archaeology is so full of bullshit fake matriarchies and stories of warrior women armies. Almost all of them are bullshit, except the
Yeah.
ones that were found in essentially the Scythian region.
Yeah. What I thought was rad is you talk about how one of these females had an arrowhead embedded in her eye cavity. She got shot in the eye and killed during battle. And they left it there. Like, fuck, that's hardcore.
Yeah, and the women they found in this region showed signs that they had had blunt force trauma from battle wounds. They were taller than average women and were buried with weapons that had been used and were not ceremonial. All this bullshit about how there being female Viking armies and mixed Viking armies isn't true.
No.
Most of those graves were women who were buried with ceremonial weaponry. And a lot of cultures do that. Same with Japan.
The women were literally at home taking care of home and hearth with the children. Now, if a group tried to come in and attack, the women would fight, but they weren't out on the battlefield. But they would defend their town. So yeah, I mean, but if the men were there when the town got attacked, the women took the children and kept them safe. So I mean, that's one thing that drives me nuts. It's like, so men and women were abandoning the kids and the towns to go fight on the field of battle.
Well, there's also that a lot of women like to be married with their husband's sword. If their husband had been killed in battle years prior, she would ask to be buried with a sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, you know, it used to be that's what they were like. Yeah, she they wanted that was part of the culture. But now it's, oh, she was actually a warrior. It's like, really? Because her bone structure says nothing about being a warrior.
Yeah.
A 12-year-old boy could kick her over.
Yeah.
Well, I also know that, you know, though there were women of the samurai class who may have, you know, been buried with the swords, it was actually very rare for women of the samurai class to, you know, to take up said swords. So, yeah.
So getting, oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to point out how the Amazon, calling somebody an Amazon was originally an insult, but they eventually, as you know, people got horny, as Ishii says in his book, which he is very correct. Like I said, sex sells. They went to be more virginal and they started looking like Artemis/Diana. You know, one breast exposed. They were virginal hunters. They were lithe. They were beautiful. And what was funny is in artwork, they, you know, when they were dead, they still looked hot dead. They'd be in sexy positions. Which, you know,
I
I thought was
some
great.
of that art in the book.
Oh, yeah, no, there's pottery art. There's actually, I want to jump ahead a little bit. You can see, okay, when you get to, who was it? Peter Paul Rubens' art. Apparently he didn't like women. He thinks they're dumb. Okay, I'm sorry, but seeing a dumpy Hippolyta trying to seduce Hercules and then seeing a bunch of fat Amazons getting their heads crushed.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing. Apparently he didn't like women being uppity. I mean, it's
Rubens
comedy.
was gay. The dude was frickin' gay.
I wish I could see the Battle of the Amazons painting in color because I want to see the river running red.
Oh, look it up online. It's easy to find.
Yeah, I had no clue that these paintings existed, and I showed them to Steve today, and we were laughing because it was like, Jesus, this is just a massacre in this one painting. But so something like I said before that you pointed out is Amazons seem to go up and down, up and down, up and down, where like,
they're
you know,
kind of a cultural barometer.
Yeah. So, I mean, but I honestly think that they really did peak in the early 1900s, especially when you get into the pulps. Oh my God. And not only that, this also proves once again, it is not hard to get into the industry with C.L. Moore, who wrote some great books, and then Margaret Brundage. who her art is fantastic.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, she's like, she's in the vein of Vallejo and Frazetta. I wonder if they took inspiration from her.
Oh, they did,
Actually, I think you
absolutely.
did talk about that in the book.
Can you show some of her work for the audience?
I'm trying to.
Oh,
Well,
gravity.
the funny thing is apparently large-breasted women are becoming more popular again, at least according to the internet, which they were always popular. You were just making us look at these fucking potato creatures.
Well, again, I maintain that it is true that what is quote popular in the in the popular spheres, the barometer on what actually is in vogue is Victoria's Secret, because Victoria's Secret caters to a certain audience. And when I went in there and they told me that they were going to be offering 32 G cups, that told me that the pendulum had definitely swung in the other direction.
Well, from when I was doing research for this book, what I found repeatedly was what guys like has never changed.
No.
Yeah.
We've always liked the same thing: big tits, tight waist, round hips.
Yeah, what a woman's supposed to look like when she's healthy.
Mhm.
And yes, genetically, some women are just born with small breasts, but the way that they're doing small breasts today is not even small breasts. It's literally cut them off, get rid of them.
Yeah.
So, but this whole chapter proves through the research that Ishii has done that men
Get rid of that.
like them round, and some men like them flat. Okay, no big deal, but they still have
this is
bumps. They
fine.
don't want pure flat. They want something curved.
Well, we're sick of this, 2 fried eggs nailed to a 2x4.
Exactly. Yes.
If you're lucky.
Yeah. Like I never judged a woman if she was born with an A cup and she wanted to get breast implants. Go for it. That's what men like. Just make sure you do the research before you go to a doctor, because sometimes you'll get botched tits and that sucks. But I
Yeah.
never ever judged. I mean, yes,
I just judge you if you get cheap ones.
Yeah, I will judge you if you have one nipple going up and one nipple going to the left. Then I'm like, dude, you didn't do your research. You should have saved up some cash.
Nothing wrong with getting implants. There's nothing wrong with doing a little too. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of vanity. It's this weird surgery addiction. You get these Nancy Pelosi.
Oh God,
Madonna.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! I had 5 pounds removed from my middle section. Why? Because the skin wasn't going to shrink anymore.
No, gotta do it.
Look, my mom had plastic surgery 3 different times. She had 2 tummy tucks, and then just to go on a side note, my dad got into a car accident. This kid plowed his car into my dad's car. My dad had to go to the hospital. It was awful. But the payout was so amazing. They were like, what are we going to do with this? They both got plastic surgery. They got lipo. They got their crow's feet removed, like their face smoothed out. Oh, you know what? Good for you guys. I'm glad that you took that money and you did something incredibly vain with it. And they were happy campers.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, my dad and my mom still looked young, and people be like, oh my God, their genetics are great. And I'm like, uh-huh. But yeah, I'm like, you know what? You guys are, in your 50s, go for it. Enjoy. You deserve it. So, I mean, yeah, it was like they could buy another fancy car, or they could shave 10 years off on their looks. And you know what? Good for them. So yeah, vanity is okay. I don't like this whole thing now where you have to look dumpy, ugly, have no tits, be fat as fuck. There are some of us who have been struggling with weight forever, especially after having a kid. I didn't sit there and cram flamin' hot Cheetos and pastries down my throat while bitching that the world hates me, that we are in a patriarchal society and men are evil. No.
Well, one of the underlying points of the book is, how did we get to this place? How did we get to a point in which ugliness, or not ugliness, beauty is considered a bad thing.
Communism.
Why is it that
He
we're
says as he preens.
It's okay. It throughout this chapter, it all comes back to fucking communism. I mean,
It
it's
does.
mind blowing. That's
every
one thing.
time, every
yeah.
fucking time it's communism?
Because when the pulps were going, holy shit! I have never, like I said, I mean, the art is so gorgeous.
Bring the zapper in here.
And a lot of those artists were women.
Yeah. So yeah, you've also, like I said, you've also proven that it's not a man's playground. You just have to work hard, like everyone else.
But they can't do that. That's misogyny.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Well, what else I thought was
That's
interesting
hateful.
is your Amazons could be dominatrixes, or as in the lioness of, is it Joyri? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, they were actually chaste Christian women that were defending their small kingdom. So they weren't always, hot sex pots, femme fatales. They were actually chaste women too. Beautiful women.
Well, what's interesting about is it Jerry of Jory or Jarell of Jory?
Yeah, Jarell of Jory.
Jarell. Yeah, it's French. I don't know how to say it.
Fiona would know.
Yes.
Fiona would know.
If only Fiona was in the audience, she could correct us on it because she is a huge fan of that.
I think she's working.
Yeah.
Well, one
Hopefully
of the
she shows up
things-
later and we can ask her.
If you ever, when you were in college, I want you to think about the communist girls. They were never the hot, sexy ones having a good time. The communist girls were always the potato girls. They didn't have any tits, or they had little tiny ones. They, their waist was twice as big around as their shoulders. They all smelled funny, and they all had greasy hair, and they dressed like a fucking hobo, and they're always ranting on about how communism is the future and communism this, communism that, and they loathed any girl who took a bath.
Right.
Don't forget, they also had hairy armpits and hairy legs.
Yep, because they couldn't be bothered for the slightest bit of upkeep.
Yep.
And they think that because they think that they should be just as sexy as the woman who spends hours, going to the gym, taking care of herself, or just having general self-respect. They think they should be just as attractive and just as in many movies and showed just as great as people with self-discipline. Communism, modern communism, has nothing to do with original communism, which said, he who does not work does not eat, and each according to their ability, each according to their need, which is basically you have to have something the state wants. Modern communism is, I'm lazy, give me shit. And give me all the best stuff. I don't want an Android. I want an iPhone. I don't want a fucking shitbox Corolla. I want a Lamborghini. It's lazy. It's fucking modern communism is fucking lazy and stupid. Because you can ask them, who's going to mine the coal? Oh, well, there'll be people who will want to. Have you ever fucking swung one pickaxe? Who's going to maintain the roads? Oh, there'll be people who'll do it for free. I'm going to be a poet. I'm going to design uniforms. I'm going to teach people. I'm going to jerk off all day. I'm going to make art. Not one of them are, I'm going to go out and kill myself in the farms.
I'm going to be up front. When I was in college, all the people who were part of the communist groups were always rich kids, spoiled, usually not very good in the looks department.
And not very smart.
No.
And they all had the same weird idea that they were going to be the vanguard and that they would lead the way. They would make all the decisions. They, again, design the uniforms and do all the art and be the leaders and the thinkers, and that the working class, and specifically all the black people, would do what they say.
Yeah.
It was always black people were going to be their
stormtroopers.
Their army.
Were going to be their stormtroopers and their workforce, because they black people like it. They just want an honest day's work. They want to work in those coal mines.
So fucking racist. These people say they're not racist. They're the most racist people I've ever come across.
I mean, they were always convinced. You'd get these. Remember, I was in San Francisco. You'd get these.
We're glad you weren't either, Wolf. Sorry.
These spoiled brats in San Francisco would have their meetings, and they were just convinced that all the black people in Oakland would do their bidding.
It's actually a big thing with the left. It's never, it's never I personally am going to come take from you what I don't approve of. It's we are going to send the state to murder you with overwhelming firepower because I don't like that you have this opinion, that you like this show, that you have this possession. It's never, oh, we're going to do it. It's always the state will murder you. And
sorry,
it's cowardice. Oh, I'm going to say it's just cowardice.
I agree. And, it's, I never thought I would come to the point where I'd see, Animal Farm and go, well, at least there's some logic behind it.
Yeah.
But the thing with communism, and this goes all the way back to Marx, they did not want anyone to stand out. They didn't want anyone to excel or be special or different. Everyone had to be a drone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you want to know what they're doing in Oregon? They got rid of what was it? Testing to see what your math and English. Yeah, so they're deliberately making kids, and they did it. They even claimed they did it to make things equal for people of color. That's fucking racist. You're making it now where they can't get an education. What about those people? It doesn't even mean it's people of color. What about people who are poor and getting an education gets them out? They're now making it where like, oh, hey, you don't have to worry about school. So they're keeping everybody stupid. Because if you're young, if you're a teenager, fuck yeah. Teenagers are gonna be like, all right, I don't have to do shit. I can just hang around, do whatever I want. Like, no. And the fact that parents aren't flipping the fuck out, because I tell you right now, if I was in Oregon, I would be flipping the fuck out right now.
They are. They're just getting the cops on them.
That's a show for another time. I know I constantly go about how much I hate the school system now,
but
especially since I worked in it. But we need to talk about boobs of steel.
Yes, but the thing is, you keep returning to it. I mean, you go back to like the 40s, 50s, 60s. It kept coming back to communism.
Mm-hmm.
Who wanted to take heroism and adventurism out of our stories, out of our sci-fi science fiction? Communists.
Mm-hmm.
In the 1940s and 50s, it was the communists. Who was the first group of people to ever show up at a sci-fi convention and try and hijack it to make it about politics? Isaac Asimov and his fellow communists.
Mm-hmm.
Who tried to fuck up comics? Or who nearly killed the comics industry? Frederick Wortham, fucking communist. Who threw a shit fit over Wonder Woman when she was on TV and wanted Wonder Woman to go away? The feminist communists.
Well, hell, you brought up Asimov. The fact that one of his heroes, Elijah Bailey, had to be fucking brainwashed in order to believe that communism was a good idea. His own creation had to be brainwashed to say communism was awesome.
And the thing is with Isaac Asimov and his little band of fucktards, it was the same thing. It was, well, us little group will get together and the working class people will all do what we tell them to because we're the smart ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, none of you have even left Manhattan, you fucktards.
Hey,
what
Dominic,
pisses me off
I
about
saw it on Instagram. It was a link to an article, and I can't remember who linked it, but I remember seeing it, and I was just mortified.
What was the article?
It showed was it the governor or the mayor of one of the towns with a bunch of kids behind her signing into law this whole, you don't have to worry about testing anymore because it's affecting people of color in Oregon and not giving them a fair shake, which, like I said, blew my mind because you're now making it where you are actively telling them they don't have to worry about being educated, which means they can't move forward. You're purposely they're trying to make, they're trying to make it all children stupid, and it's fucking working.
And that her quoting saying that it was, to even the playing field basically has been all over the news in multiple sources. So yeah.
Well, the thing is what it does is it destroys what I was able to do.
Mm-hmm.
I study, I talk all the time about how I was a high school dropout. I scored the highest on the GED test that the state had seen, and my ASVAB was, I could have any job I wanted, literally. And what got me from that, what did that for me, was education. I mean, I didn't drop out because, you know, I hated school. I dropped out because I had too many commitments, and I got in trouble with the law. And my intellect and my ability to do math and read and write and parse instructions and follow written instructions and follow the written word enabled me to go from the trailer park to my own house, you know, to be a contributing member of society by making it so that math and reading and writing and science don't matter anymore. These kids are doomed to eternal poverty in the service industry. They are just making an entire generation of slaves. That's it.
Yeah, and
Agreed.
it's like it's not just people of color too, okay? They're doing it to white kids as well. It's everybody who's young, and it's because, and I'm just going to say it, the elite classes in our country and around the world want everything for themselves, and they want the rest of us to be bug eating drones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they want us to be stupid.
They do.
When I went to the parent teacher conferences today for my kid, all of his teachers said they were so happy to have somebody in class who actively wanted to learn and was constantly asking questions, constantly being involved. And apparently most kids don't give a shit anymore. So, I mean, even teachers are frustrated. And I mean, have you heard of the daywalker syndrome?
No.
Okay, the daywalker syndrome is a syndrome going on in schools right now where kids just wander the halls the whole time because the teachers in the school can't tell them to go to class. They can't make them because then the kids throw a fit, the parents throw the fit. So the teachers have nicknamed them daywalkers because they're walking around like zombies during the daytime. These kids just go and wander around school for 7 hours, not learning, just hanging out, and then going home. And teachers and the schools can't do anything about it because either the parents or the government will tell them, no, you're wrong. You're being cruel to them. And that's also, we have talked about there's bad teachers. There are good teachers too, teachers who really want to teach. But those are the teachers who are actually giving up and leaving the teachers who want to brainwash or not even do anything at all. I mean, we have a serious epidemic of idiocy going on in our country right now. Our children are not being educated unless the parents are involved. And I mean, with my kid, he reads all this stuff on his own. So we don't even have to tell him. He finds it fun. But to think there are so many kids that are just like, I'd rather wander around for 7 hours and do nothing.
Well, part of
Yeah,
it,
so they're called
you know,
daywalkers, and it's a serious epidemic in our country, but the media won't talk about it.
why it's planned.
Well, I know, but people are shocked when they hear about it. Why isn't the media saying anything? Well,
because the media are a bunch of shills. I mean, the
yeah,
media are the exact same people involved in everything else going wrong.
yeah.
I mean, seriously, the media and the Democrat Party are one and the same.
The
You know,
media has carried. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, let's hear.
Oh, the media has carried water for evil people forever. After all, they covered up just how bad trench warfare was in World War One. They covered up the atrocities during the Civil War. They sided with the British during the Revolution. During World War II, the New York Times knew what was happening in Europe, and they covered it up.
The New York Times repeatedly lied about Russia and China, going on about how wonderful and how successful those communist revolutions were.
You want to know how bad it was? The gunfire wasn't even over from the Tet Offensive, and you had a major reporter who had never consulted with any military officers they say now the war is unwinnable. The back of the NVA and the VC were broken. If we would have fucking invested more troops and actually pressed our advantage, it would have been the end of the Vietnam War. But because that fucking liar stood there and said the war is unwinnable, and then I've got one for you. Panama. They ran a big fucking article in the New York Times front fucking page. They showed a damaged hospital, real close up of the wall blown out of a hospital with U.S. troops commit war crime by attacking hospital. Well, you know what that was? That was a machine gun on the 5th floor of the hospital that was neutralized with a M203 40mm grenade. All it did was blow out that one room. They printed their retraction on like page 15. Desert Storm. Oh, all these war crimes. How many people remember when that Marine kicked that guy in the face because the press edited out the fact he had a pistol?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
see that all the time.
I'm hoping if there's one thing that will come out of this with is nobody trusts the mainstream press anymore.
Hopefully.
I mean, the
Yeah.
only people that listen to the media anymore are fucking drones ready to eat the bugs and people like my parents.
I know several people who I know people who still believe that police officer was killed on January 6th and says they have proof. But when I ask for it, they change the subject.
Give
Yep.
me the proof or shut your fucking mouth.
And when I
Exactly.
showed them the proof, he said that that was a lie and that I was believing bullshit and I needed to wake up.
Have you been called a white nationalist yet for questioning?
No, not yet.
That's another fun one they'll throw at you.
I'm like, have you seen me? Do I look fucking white? Technically, I'm white.
I don't even care what they call me. I mean, somebody called me a racist. I was like,
Don't
thanks for
care
noticing.
anymore.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Don't care anymore.
I'm like, ooh, wow, I'm a racist. Okay, yeah, bye.
Yeah, none of
like-
those words mean anything anymore.
Not
Huh.
anymore, no.
Although I did want to bring up, so I don't know if you guys heard about this, but apparently this week, the WEF and the UN have signed a compact that said, 2030,
That was yesterday.
yesterday, 2030, their plan for 2030 to have us all in pods and eating bugs, that, we're already almost halfway there. According to that, we're 1/3 of the way there.
I thought it was 15%.
No, that we're already pushing. We're edging on entering 2024.
Oh, halfway there is
Yeah.
in time frame. Yeah.
Their time frame 2024 is right around the corner, and they haven't even achieved
No, 2030.
20. Yeah, well, right, and they haven't even achieved 12% of their goals. Was the complaint? So now they've decided, no, that's it. We just need to make everyone do it, and they signed an agreement. And this again was the UN and the WEF said all of those zero emission goals, everyone needs to be eating bugs and in the pods by 2025.
Not gonna happen.
All the things need to be
Good
torn
luck.
down. Everyone's got to get rid of all of their possessions. Cars need to go. Everyone's got, it's EV or nothing.
By 2025.
No more meat. No more by 2025. It's all got to be done. And I mean,
What's funny is who the biggest stumbling block is.
China.
It's not Europe. Europe just knelt right down to suck the dick. It's not any other countries. It's America. You want to know who's driving them fucking crazy? It's not Gen Z, because Gen Z's dancing around, being retarded on TikTok and wandering into traffic while chewing on a Tide Pod. It's not millennials, because millennials are too fucking stupid to open a plastic bag that's over their head. It's the
Present
fact that
company
Gen X,
excluded, chat. Present company excluded.
Gen X is too fucking apathetic to do any of the shit they want. Like, buy an electric car, and we're like, meh.
Nah.
Install a charging station. It sounds like effort.
Yeah.
We don't
the
care.
worst thing to do is to tell Gen X to do something.
Yeah.
Don't tell us what to do.
Don't tell us what to do. That's like that whole thing with, if you look at that thing, Gen Z is the loneliest, followed by millennials, followed by boomers. Notice who's missing?
Yep.
That's because every time they went to Gen X, it was like, hi, would you like to fuck you? Would you like to do no?
Yeah, go suck a dick.
Suck a
Yeah.
dick.
Yep.
When
Real
my
quick, and then we'll
husband,
get back.
when
Fiona?
my husband decided to buy me a new car, we could have gotten an electric car. No, I asked for an SUV, a Karen SUV, and I got it.
Fiona, really technically Gen Y is just Gen X. You know what the difference is? For me, the dividing line between Gen Y and X is one thing. Did you grow up waiting for the bombs to fall? If you grew up without that utter terror of the bombs falling on your head, you're probably Gen Y.
Yeah.
That's it. That and you guys tend to be better adjusted than us. You're not as fucked up. Gen Y tends to be a little less fucked up than us.
But you know,
No,
the whole
falling. We weren't fearing it. It was just kind of like, okay, when.
and then you had Gen X like me. They're like, bring it on.
Gen
Like,
X.
fuck you. I'm gonna buy a pair of assless chaps, get a mohawk, and fuck a blonde twink on the back of a motorcycle. Bring it on.
Yes.
Sounds good, dude.
I was gonna say we're the ones that would go out and stand under the landing site for the nuke waiting, so we could see it come and hit.
Not me. I was gonna survive that shit and become the undisputed overlord of Colorado.
You were gonna
Fuck yeah.
Lord Humongous.
Yes,
Yep.
Lord Humongous, exactly.
Goddamn
I
right.
honestly,
So-
I was a twisted child. I wanted Terminators. I wanted to fight in that war. I wanted to fight in
Okay.
that war for John Connor.
I knew it was gonna happen, and I was absolutely shocked when I hit my 30th birthday. I'm like, holy shit, I'm not dead. I guess I should be an adult now.
But yeah, the
So-
Amazon, they started hating on the Amazon because it's feminine beauty and it's feminine independence, feminine. An Amazon does not cry about oppression. An Amazon does not cry she is triggered. An Amazon does not cry about the patriarchy. An Amazon goes out and I mean, I'm married to a fucking Amazon. You know, she goes out and
Yeah, you
does
are.
shit.
Shit.
She does shit. You know, she absolutely does shit. You know, when she's right there with me, you know, doing shit. And, you know, she's not back there, oh, I can't do it. She's like right next to me. And
You're probably one of the most hardcore women I have ever met in my entire life. I mean, fuck.
and she is loving and she is caring. She is everything a woman should be: loving, caring, a little crazy. Loves her children, loves her grandchildren, has hobbies, you know. And but other women hate women like her because she's not waiting for, you know, me to give her her self-esteem. She went out and took it. So communism, like Ishi's book says, communism was a big one because God forbid a woman be able to function without the state. And an Amazon doesn't need the state. You want to know who else was an Amazon? You know those pictures of those fucking Depression era women with like 8 kids who are out there with their husband plowing the field?
Yes.
Yeah, she may be fat and she may be, to your standards, kind of homely, but she's more of an Amazon than most of these women flexing on OnlyFans because she went out there and did shit.
Yeah.
You know, and sure, you know, she was, you know, kind of fat and kind of, you know, a little dumpy, but you know, that she had 8 kids behind her. You're going to be dumpy too. You squeeze out 8 watermelons out your asshole. But you know, when a mule got tired, you could just put the bit in her mouth and hook her up to the plow and plow the field. Literally, that's what they did.
Yes.
Her
Yes,
and the
they
kids
did.
would pull the plow. So of course they wanted to get rid of the Amazon because the Amazon does shit. She doesn't she's not a victim. And victimization, the cult of the victim, is big. You know, so the cult of the victim, communism is the cult of the victim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The communism cannot function without an oppressor-oppressed relationship. The moment you don't have someone to point the finger at and say that person's to blame, it all falls apart and they start killing each other.
Yep.
And that's the
And also-
problem with Marxism in general. Is every relationship, every human interaction is a oppressed and oppressor interaction through the lens of Marxism.
And they just need to kill a couple more 100,000 people and there'll be utopia.
But I mean, you get these Marxists that will take it to the point of, well, no. When you have a dog and you're the oppressor and the dog's the oppressed. I mean,
Really? Because my dog's laying on the couch licking its ass and it has 2 bags of food. It doesn't have to do shit. I'm the oppressed one. Tell me that dog's oppressed. It's laying in the front room licking its ass.
So Janelle's it was RALT'S who said Gen X is holding all this shit up. We just won't cooperate.
Yeah.
Do you think that's another reason why suddenly out of nowhere we went from being forgotten to fuck Gen X? Everyone seems pissed at us.
I
Well,
think so.
they're also startled that we fight back. They're startled as fuck that we fight back.
Also, at least from
And they hate that.
marketing standpoints, we have shown back up on their radar as a viable market with money, and they're wanting to, those people are wanting to cater to us and not to the others, which means the others' agenda isn't being catered to, across the board anymore.
Why do I have
Yeah.
money? My kids are all employed. I don't
Mhm.
support them anymore. Me and my wife live off. Well, no, even my daughter with schizophrenia, she supports herself. Well, kind of. Your tax money, thank you very much. I appreciate that. But even if she didn't get that, I'd still support her, and I'd still have more money than I did, when they were all little, and I was buying new shoes every 6 months, and new pants every 6 months, and new blouses every 6 months. Or God, when they hit puberty, and it was, oh my God, I gotta buy all kinds of wild shit. But now they're grown up, and I can take that money and spend it on other things.
Mhm.
I mean, I'll admit, I bought a semi-newish 2-year-old car that had 4,000 miles on it, but I was able to buy a little car that has good gas mileage because I'm not hauling around 3 teenage girls and all their shit and their friends. Suddenly they realized, oh fuck, Gen X has a little bit of extra money, and they are right there. They are right there to collect it. It's like,
Yes, they are.
no, and Gen X is really a thorn in their side because we just can't be asked. Oh, you need to give up meat. No.
Fuck you.
You need to care about these. No, don't tell me to care about somebody else. I don't give a fuck about anybody else. We care about each other. We care about our circle. We care about our friends, our family, our community, and that's it. We would care more about our nation, but our nation told us to go fuck ourselves for 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, there's a very interesting thing. I think I brought this up last week. If you want any notion of what the boomers thought of us, okay, was the moment they realized, wait a minute, that baby that we created over at Woodstock is going to be with us for the next 18 years.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Oh, shit. That Altamont baby we had, it's going to be here. The moment they realized that, suddenly there was a string of movies that came out. What was the big scary thing in movies? The Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby,
Children of the Corn.
Children of the Corn.
Don't forget Logan's Run.
Oh, I gotta.
No, I was going to bring up Omen.
Oh,
let
yeah.
me throw a grenade into your stream. You can say goodbye to your stream right now.
Okay.
When Gen X started to be born, and these fucking hippie assholes realized that they'd actually have to devote their life to something besides narcissism, drugs, and sex, abortion became legal almost overnight.
Yeah, 1970s.
Shit,
1970s.
Yeah.
And do you know how many Gen Xers heard if abortion was legal when I was pregnant with you, I would have aborted you?
Oh, yeah. A lot of us heard we were the abortion that didn't happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
A lot
And
of us heard
it
that.
became almost instantly. I mean, they boom, and it was right there. And why? Because we made the party stop. They had to get jobs. They couldn't. Well, actually, it was more than that. They couldn't come home from work and have their little fucking punch bowl parties. For those of you who don't know, that was a 70s thing. Everybody would put their keys in a bowl.
Yep.
And at the end of the night, the women would pick the keys out.
Yep.
And you would go home with whoever you got the keys with, and they'd fuck you all night. It was a wife swapping party. Wife swapping, orgies, really big. And then, they had Gen X. Whoops.
Yeah.
The party stopped. They couldn't, and you want to know how bad they hated us? It's really simple. When we were in the late 80s, early 90s, they started running all these fucking ads on TV with like these old people fucking coming out there and playing basketball against their kids and winning and, doing, and, all of them. It was fucking pathetic. You had 30, 40-year-old balding men flexing on teenagers for not having money. It was fucking disgraceful. That's how much they hated us. And, that's why they're fucking living a pod shit isn't working. So like, live in a pod. And we're like, no, I didn't come this far for you to shove me in a pod. You should try communism. It's great. No, I remember what the Soviet Union looked like when the wall collapsed. Oh, and you will have tons of people telling you that what you saw and what you remember wasn't true.
God, I'm
Yeah.
sick of that. I am
So-
so sick of that. There was no Ice Age scare in the 70s. Fuck you, there was.
Like, fuck you. There was. I remember it clearly.
Oh,
People-
my favorite is there was really no bread lines, and people actually did have shoes in the Soviet Union. That's just Western
There's
propaganda. Are you
bread
fucking
today.
retarded?
Shit.
Well, that's like I was talking to somebody. I was like, yeah, I remember when the wall fell. You know, the guys across the way from us, we used to sit. They would walk over and drink, and we give them food and fucking whiskey and shit. And they were Russian soldiers. They weren't East German. They were Russian. And they would talk about how even though they were part of the military, and even though some of these guys were spets, they would have to work for a year at the farms. Picking potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you try to mention that, the women that were sent there were basically used as whores by the fucking camp guards and the camp commissar and shit like that. But you try to talk about that, they'll tell you you're lying. They'll tell you there was no community farms. There was no taking people at gunpoint to farms. Oh, no, that didn't actually happen. Motherfucker, it's a historical record. Well, history's wrong. History's written by the victors. The West said that, not nobody else. You want to know what killed the Soviet Union? McDonald's.
Yes.
Well,
Yes,
actually, three things
100%.
Three things killed McDonald's. Three things killed the Soviet Union: McDonald's, America's out of control military budget,
Mhm.
and movies.
Yes.
Yeah, let me give you some story time here. It's fucking 1988. This dude from MI rolls up to me and goes, "Hey, you have contact with the guys across the 1K zone, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, you guys told me to cultivate a relationship with them." He's like, "All right, I got something for you. I got videotapes, but I'm going to include it with porno mags. Here's a fucking VCR. It's built into the TV." I'm like, "That is the coolest thing I've ever seen." I'm like, "Is that for me?" He goes, "No, it's not for you, dickhead. What I was supposed to do was run a fake black market node. Now, who's feeding me? Military intelligence and CID are feeding me. And I'm selling it to these guys, trading it to them for manuals and shit like that." The big thing, the porn turned out to be a big deal. When you looked at 70s porn, when you see fat farm girls, chubby farm girls, right, with makeup on, meaning makeup is so cheap that slutty farm girls can wear it. What's on the videotape? The TV shows weren't the important part. That wasn't what they wanted to get through. What they wanted to get through were the commercials. They wanted people to these Spets guys and whoever they fucking black marketed these tapes to see, like, Safeway is running a sale for 19 cents a pound for the steaks. That shit percolated through. I mean, it wasn't just me, it was everybody was doing this. That shit percolated through and fucked everything up because, people are like, look at these black market tapes and they're like, why does every American fucking refrigerator have tons of food in it? And why is this advertisement talking about for $1 I get a hamburger, fries, and a milkshake? What the fuck is a milkshake? And that shit actually damaged them because,
Well, they were promised paradise.
yeah. And remember when Gorbachev or was it Andropov? One of the two of them was on a tour of America with Reagan. And out of the blue, he points at a grocery store and goes, "I want to go there." And he expected America to go, no, you can't go there. They just moved the motorcade and they pulled in and they had the Secret Service roust everybody out. And he got to go in. This premier of Russia gets to go in and there's pictures of him poking the meat and looking, giving the suspicious look. He couldn't believe the amount of food on the shelves. He couldn't believe, how little it cost. And that when he checked it, it was real. And he left with a bunch of groceries that he picked at random to see if this was, some kind of propaganda thing. But he knew he had picked a store at random. And he got a bunch of stuff at random, and it was actual food, and it was plentiful. All the stores were stocked and everything, and it blew them away. They were like, "What the fuck? You've got this out of control military budget, and you've got all this food?"
And yet, for some bizarre reason, a bunch of rich Europeans and a handful of rich Americans are hell-bent on trying to put us all into Soviet-style starvation.
Because they view themselves as the ones sitting there with the hamburger. It's really weird. The modern day rich, which most of them are from Europe. Actually, Europe's always had this problem. Europe has had this problem since the Middle Ages. Europe has had this problem since Charlemagne. The
It's
ruling
only-
elite has had this problem where if they see a peasant who's having a good day, their day is ruined.
Mhm.
If they see a peasant who's like, check out these new shoes that my buddy Olaf made, Olaf gets beheaded and the dude gets his feet cut off. Why? Because the noble feels slighted and lessened that somebody else has nice shoes.
You forgot that the noble then walks away with the shoes.
Yeah.
And God forbid you're happy. There is nothing a rich person hates more than to find out that somebody who isn't rich is happy.
Yet, if we're all rich and abundant, or if we're all prosperous and abundant, we give the rich more money.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm going to bring up one more thing.
Oh, I
to
want to
go
hear
with
Rolf's
that.
answer to that.
No. Definitely, I want to hear your answer, Rolf. But I'm just going to bring up one more thing to that. The other problem with Europe, specifically Europe, is that the peasant class is conditioned to think that this is business as usual. The fact that the peasants revolt in England, they stormed London, killing people as they went. And what were their demands? They wanted reasonable working conditions, and then they were fine to just go back to the same old. They just did, they just wanted to be treated slightly better. They didn't try to become nobles themselves. They didn't try to overthrow the government. They just went back to being fucking peasants. That's the biggest problem in Europe.
The biggest thing that happened in America was the guys that own the factories. It wasn't initially when, they were running these factories and having little kids work in them. It happened around the time of Ford. Henry Ford is, Carnegie and all those big guys realized if my workers are making enough money, they'll buy my shit.
Yeah.
And they'll buy everybody else's shit. And if they buy everybody else's shit, those companies will be able to pay their workers enough where their workers will buy my shit.
Ford's model was making sure that his factory workers could buy the things that came off the assembly line.
Well, Ford was a patriot.
But
Ford
in the
actually, yeah.
No, I was about to say, but in the 1970s, when the boomers started getting into the fucking C-suite, when they started getting into the CEO positions, look what happened to CEO pay raises.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what happened. Look at that graph. It just fucking spikes.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is nothing a boomer hates more than somebody else who's happy. Sorry, yes, you go ahead. It's your channel.
No, I'm very. It's interesting hearing your take on these things. And it's like Ford was a patriot. Ford actually gave a damn about the working class. I mean, he all but created the middle class. He was vilified for it. And meanwhile, as you had pointed out, these factory owners all suddenly realized, well, wait a minute. If the nation's prosperous, we all get more prosperous. If the other guys are making money too, I get more money.
Yeah. Jeff Bezos and the Walmart clan should be encouraging everybody to pay the workers a lot more money, because that way everybody will buy their shit.
Yeah.
Have you gone to order fast food recently?
We don't eat fast food. We're those kinds of people.
Well, we used to once a month as a special treat, and until it started making us sick. About a year ago, it started making us sick.
Oh.
But it went from Jack in the Box used to run us like 5 years ago. Jack in the Box ran me and my wife $10.
20.
Well, that was if we included the kids. $10 for me and her, $20 for me and if we added the kids. We went to Jack in the Box like 4 months ago, and it cost us $65 fucking dollars. 65 fucking bucks, and the food was worse. Look at how much a Big Mac costs nowadays. It's not 99 cents. Oh, there is no dollar value menu anymore.
Steve and I stopped going out. We wouldn't do fast food, but we are typical Californians, and we love our carne asada burritos. All the Mexican food joints were charging like double the price of a burrito with less ingredients inside, and it was shit. It was disgusting. It was like the first time we'd ever had a bad burrito. We couldn't believe it. And I don't know if you guys saw, but on Instagram, a father posted his bill from Taco Bell. Him and his 3 kids and his wife went out to get a treat. $54 for Taco Bell. Unfucking believable.
Well, my wife says they're doing it so that we get used to high food prices. Because this is artificial. This scarcity is artificial. They're claiming that Ukraine is the breadbasket of the world. Ukraine is the only breadbasket is child porn. Okay, it's not the breadbasket of the world. It's the size of fucking Oregon.
We're selling them wheat.
But all of a sudden, and then, oh, there's going to be a famine this year. There's going to be a famine this year. Me and my wife live in the Midwest. We're driving around. Sometimes we go for drives. And we're driving around. We're looking at all these farms that are just groaning with fucking produce and everything.
It's all earmarked for China.
Yeah, it's all earmarked for China.
Yep. See,
the food we're growing here, nowadays isn't earmarked for us. It's earmarked for everybody else. America is what's in the way of these people's plans. That's why they're busting their ass to destroy America. And so they can have just money. They want money.
So where do you think this leads?
Do
you think America tramples over, or do you think we end up killing people?
I think that as long as another country doesn't jump us, it should be you have 6 months to beat us. That's it. If you can't beat us and force us to surrender in 6 months, it's over. If no country makes a dumb move and jumps us, we'll struggle through. We'll come out the other side. The big thing is by 2030, the majority of these decrepit fossils will have died and stop fucking the world up. But because they're kids, it's great. Their kids are retards. Yeah,
it's always that case, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're all like Greta.
Their kids are fucking retarded. George Soros, absolute mastermind who has destroyed entire fucking countries. His son is a fucking moron.
Well, Hillary, horrible bitch manipulator. Chelsea, moron.
Chelsea's dumb as a box of rocks.
Yeah.
And so all they're doing is they're trying to destroy everything on their way out.
Yeah,
and it's like,
if I can't have it, no one can.
That would explain we've got to have it by 2025. They figured out they're old.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's staring them in the face. They're doing stuff like sorting out, or they're falling, or their hands have started shaking. They can't get it to stop, or, they have to shit in a diaper.
God.
The greatest thing to happen is that so many boomers live long enough that they have to wear diapers. Because these are the people who were going to be young forever. Listen to their music, watch their movies, read their book, read their literature. They were all going to be young forever. They didn't want to retire. They didn't want to leave. They didn't want to retire and get a pension. They wanted to stay in their job and keep earning money because they were young. Well, now you're shitting in a diaper and your kids hate you. Because they've been running articles recently about, more and more boomers find themselves estranged from their families and don't know what to do in their elderly years now that they're facing the risk of being impoverished. Well, maybe if you hadn't sold the family home, you'd have a place to live. How's that reverse mortgage working for you, champ?
Maybe if you hadn't pissed off your kids, they'd be taking care of you.
Yeah.
There's something that I noticed that RALT'S brought up a couple of shows ago, that boomers were the ones that forced their parents into rest homes, then sold the house, took the money, ran, and started having lavish vacations. But have you noticed it's the boomers who beg their kids, don't stick me in a rest home, because they know. and us Gen Xers are like, well, I don't know.
Only the finest and crooked rest homes for you, with the most non-English speaking nurses.
Well, let's do the list here. Larry Fink of BlackRock is 70 years old. Bill Gates, 67. Kissinger, 100.
And he still works for our government.
Mhm.
Yeah, guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's an
He is-
advisor.
He is one of the worst, and he was Klaus Schwab's mentor.
Of course
Klaus
he
Schwab
was.
himself is 85. Soros is 93.
And only
Yeah,
kept
you're
alive
right.
through black magic.
Well, we know how he's staying alive. But yeah, none of these guys are going to make it. You think they finally realize, hey, I'm going to die, and they're all panicking and saying, okay, we need it by 2025.
Well, remember, starting in the 1990s, they started doing more research and more R&D for anti-aging shit than anything else. The entire fucking pharmaceutical industry, up until about 10 years ago, was nothing but keeping the boomers alive.
Mhm.
I mean, fucking Viagra. Oh, yay, we have Viagra. Now we can molest more children.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, and this whole getting rid of the Amazon, once again, they want to get rid of anything beautiful, because if you don't have anything, Amazon's, contrary to what they say, you see it on, Ishi hit it, that these communists want to get rid of it. The big reason is women looked up to Amazons. You want an I'll name an Amazon most people don't think of, but she fits the profile. Margaret Houlihan.
Oh, from Laverne and Shirley?
No,
Or
from
no,
MASH.
MASH. Yeah.
oh,
Houlihan,
Hot
MASH.
Lips. I
Hot Lips.
always remember her as Hot Lips Houlihan.
You know how many women joined the military to be Houlihan? I think like probably half. Because she was, once she got rid of Frank, she was like the boss. I mean, she was feminine, she was tough, she was skilled. For fuck's sake, she was a goddamn nurse in Korea. She was tough. She went through hardship and came out the other side. She fits the trope of the Amazon. And lots of girls admired her. A lot of women, they had women they could look up to, but you give them these ugly potato people, and
Yeah.
you're in. Was that Harrison Bergeron? Is that the name of the story?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
that's what they want. That's what they want. Because the big battle cry of the liberals starting in the 70s and 80s was, you're not better than me, even though I've never done anything and have no skills and can't do anything but sit here and cry. You're not better than me. You're not better than any other person. And they've got to tear down the Amazon, because otherwise it gives young women something to aspire to.
Okay, can you read this first?
No, because I'm on the
paragraph?
back porch smoking a cigarette.
This is from Boobs of Steel, available now on Amazon.
Okay, this is
Amazon
from-
on Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. Chapter 3, the Amazonian Archetype. We've all seen her, the statuesque beauty with a stern look in her eye. Her hair is black, her figure gorgeous. In her hands is a sword, spear, or bow. And even though her sparse armor leaves little to the imagination, we know she's ready for a fight. Over the millennia, the Amazon has cemented her place within our culture's language of symbols. She's come to exemplify the independent woman who is unafraid to compete and succeed within male spaces. The archetypical Amazon is tall, shapely, and busty because a symbol of feminine power needs to look overwhelmingly female. Why? Because a husky warrior of indeterminable sex would convey a wholly different meaning. To illustrate this, below are
Okay, anyway.
Okay,
So there you go.
so yeah, she needs to look female.
Well, and the 80s was full of Amazons. I mean,
Oh God, yes.
Which is why there's a whole chapter on it.
There's a
yeah.
golden age of the feminine Amazon beauty.
You want to know who helped shoot the Amazon in the head? Ally McBeal
Oh God.
yeah.
Anorexia
Show.
McNeil.
and
Yeah.
Twiggy, who then became the head of a modeling agency.
Mm-hmm.
They worked their asses off. I mean, you can say what you want about Grace Jones, that she doesn't really fit the Amazon archetype because she doesn't have the breasts. Watch Conan the Destroyer and come back and tell me that again.
Oh, she fits.
She totally
Yeah.
fits.
Oh yeah.
God, she was hot.
I loved her
Actually,
as
yes,
Mayday
very
in A
much
View to a
so.
Kill.
I mean, they got rid of the Amazon because being an Amazon, it requires work, dedication,
And capable.
and it also requires courage.
Mhm.
You know, being the Amazon requires courage, and you're not supposed to admire anybody but the state or state provided heroes.
And that's true because when the communist branch of the women's lib movement in the 70s went after Wonder Woman, they specifically said they didn't want any mythological characters for women to compare themselves to. They said
Meanwhile,
that was detrimental to women and defaming.
Meanwhile, boys are comparing themselves to Superman, Batman, Hercules, you know, Thor. You know, it's so fucking weird. Women, there's this weird dichotomy with women nowadays. On one hand, they're a girl boss who can do anything you can do, only better. On the other hand, they're eternal victims that the entire power of the state must move to save. And the Amazon doesn't need either of that. You know, an Amazon works next to you. An Amazon is shoulder to shoulder with you. Look at Wonder Woman. She's shoulder to shoulder with Superman. She's right there next to him.
I'm gonna say right now that term "girl boss" is newspeak.
Yes.
It's brainwashing terminology for somebody who's pretending to be in charge of their life, but really, they're part of a fucking cult. I mean, really, there is no girl boss out there who actually is in charge of her life, who has taken the, you know, life by the reins or anything like that. You know, they are always under somebody else's control and direction.
Well, that's just it. No matter what, somebody controls you, no matter how powerful you are. And
True.
it's like nowadays they don't understand that. The president of the United States is beholden to the American people. You're always beholden to somebody. There's always somebody that can tell you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't care. I don't care what, you know, you could point at the mountain men of the fucking 1800s. They still had people, if they went to town, people told them what to do. You know, and getting rid of the Amazon, I think, really harmed young girls.
Big
They
time.
said it was to protect them, but I don't feel it did. You know, when my wife was in and I was out on the temporary disability listing, my wife was still in, and I went and bought Barbies and GI Joes, and I measured them so that it was to make sure they're the same size. And I simply took GI Joe's clothes off and put them on Barbie. So now it was mommy, and that didn't damage my kids. They just had a doll that was their mommy. And you know, everybody would be like, "Oh, well, why didn't you fuck you?" You know, I did what I had to do. And nowadays, you know, that would be considered terrible because Barbie is an unrealistic body standard. Our problem with Barbie wasn't it was an unrealistic body standard. Our problem with Barbie was in the 90s. She was a fucking moron. You know, you press the button on her back and she goes, "Math is so hard. Let's go shopping."
Well,
I had a doll. I wish I still had this Barbie because a feminist group broke into a toy factory and swapped out the GI Joe.
The GI Joe one.
Yeah, she had the GI Joe one. That's what gave me
remember
the idea.
Great.
I remember when that happened, when the chips were swapped.
Yeah, my girls had those.
That's great.
And to them, it was just mommy. But you know, Amazon's it didn't hurt them because, you know, having an Amazon in their life didn't hurt them because when disasters happen, when shit goes sideways, you know, when everything's on fire and we're just get in the fucking truck now, you know, they're not running back for one last thing. You know, I get asked, "Do we have the medical kit? Where's the spare tire?" You know, and they are able to do. But then you have all these people that have, I don't know, the stupid bitch from Life is Strange as their idol, you know. And it's always magical powers, you know. Oh, yeah, I have magical powers, you know. And it's just getting rid of the Amazon hurt girls.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in a later edition of the book, either it's going to be 2 or 3, I do an entire 2 chapters on Shira, and it actually speaks directly to what you're talking about, because Shira was created in the 80s when Mattel was utterly shocked to find out that there was a percentage of girls that preferred playing with He-Man.
Yes.
Not only that, they were thoroughly shocked that they preferred Teela over Barbie.
hmm
And they didn't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them
And-
girls from working class families.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did is they went out. Mattel had the woman who was the head of the Barbie design department, the woman who was in charge of Barbie in the early 80s, went out and did a year-long research where they basically talked to girls to find out what kind of toy they wanted or what would appeal to these girls that were playing with He-Man toys. And what they did is they took all of the power fantasies that they heard from little girls and made Shira. And Shira, what it was, is the only complaint they had about Teela was they wanted her to be a bit more feminine and dress up. That was it. That was the only real change, is they wanted her to have hair they could comb and for her to be a little more feminine with clothes she could dress up in, because Teela had one outfit. That was the only difference. And that Shira from the 80s was designed specifically to the power fantasies of little girls. That's what little girls wanted.
And see, I think that's great. I think that's great that they invested the money and they invested the time to find out what are the power fantasies of little girls.
And then
Hey, it worked. I friggin'
Yeah.
love Shira.
and then that fucked up you know,
Reimagining.
yeah, from the
Nicole
asshole that,
Stevenson.
The propaganda version.
yeah, where it was basically, oh well, this is a metaphor for girls questioning their gender. And what does she do? She turns into a boy when she becomes Shira.
Well,
Screw
let's
these
not
people.
forget. Let's not forget that you're all is forgiven because I want to have sex with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
She had
Yeah,
some sort of abusive relationship with Katra.
What
Not
is
just
it with modern? What is it with modern girls and abusive relationships?
I don't know.
They like abuse. They like being victims.
Well, I mean, I can't remember where. I think we've talked about this before, but the highest statistic for domestic abuse is lesbians,
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
by
women
far.
on women. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, I knew a lot of lesbians, especially with my job. I knew a lot of lesbians, and holy fuck, they were. I didn't know about the stat, but I do know that every fucking lesbian I knew either was a woman beater or got beat by another woman. And I asked one time, I'm sitting in there fucking, why she's got ice on her eye because her fucking girlfriend had tuned her ass up. She's sitting in my room, I'm like, so remind me again why you're a lesbian. And she goes, well, I don't want to date a man and have him get, come home drunk and beat me up. I'm like, okay. I was like, you want me to get more ice for that eye? Yes, can you please? It was the sheer disconnect right there. I don't want to, she's following the propaganda. Oh, any husband you get is going to be drunk and beat you up. And she doesn't want that because she's terrified of men because, men are stronger than me and men are this and men are that. Okay, you want some more ice for your eye? Literally, that was the conversation. She's telling me all about how she can't trust men. And I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, it's 2:00 in the morning. I'm halfway through a bottle of wild turkey. And you're sitting in my room crying with blood on your shirt. And I'm giving you ice to put on your swollen up fucking face. And you're telling me about how bad men are when it was a woman who knocked you down and kicked the shit out of you. Your own girlfriend. And this isn't the first time. It's this weird disconnect. And I don't understand it.
Now, I want to address Fiona's comment here, which was Shira also made friends from all corners of the land in the original cartoon. And yeah, that was one other aspect about the character that the girls asked for, which was that unlike He-Man, who usually used brute strength in the show, Shira was actually a leader of a band of rebels.
Yes. And she also teamed up with He-Man now and then.
Yes.
Mhm.
And that, I don't know, it was the fact that they wanted a character who had both a physical and social aspect. And I thought that was interesting.
Mhm.
And now what do we have instead of the old Shira was the leader of a band. She was the level head. She was the person that She was like the Buffy, I guess. She led
No,
them.
do not.
Do
No,
not?
do not.
You know
No.
better than me. You watched it more than I did.
No,
No,
she
she was-
was the paragon that all little girls aspired to be.
And she had a circle of friends that all admired her.
Yeah.
The new Shira is a basket case who is constantly screwing people over.
Well, they had a reason to admire. Unlike modern stuff where you're told to admire. You know, I see this in literature, I see it in comics, I see it in movies. You're told to admire. You're not shown. You know, you're not shown why you should admire. The original Shira showed what her virtuous qualities, worthy of admiration, was, what they were. And nowadays, you don't get that. Little girls don't get that, and it's bullshit.
Well,
You know, and I hated it as a father.
So Shira was the exact opposite of He-Man, but still just as buff. Because when I was doing the research for the book, I forgot that she had the power of empathy and she was telepathic with animals.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and so even though she was a warrior, she was still very feminine, but she also had that nurturing, motherly, I don't want to say behavior, but she
Motivation.
took everybody under her wing. Even Queen Angela deferred to her because she was a great leader, but she was also empathetic, and she did not want to have other people in the kingdom that was under Hordak to be harmed. She did everything in her power first to not have to fight, and then she would fight. But when she fought, look the fuck out.
that was one thing that struck me when I was a kid about Shira, was that she was raised by Hordak, and when she realized that gee, I'm doing evil, she left the palace, she left that life, and
She had the courage
yeah,
and the commitment, and that's the thing. That's the thing that's missing from all this shit that they're shoving down girls' throats now. You know,
mhm.
it'll all work out because of magic. You don't have to put any effort. And I hate it because it gives, it's gotten to the point where my son-in-law and my daughter will sit there and they will watch a cartoon. Me and my wife do the same thing though, before we let our granddaughter watch it, because you don't know what kind of fucking message. And you've got to watch
Right.
out. If you're listening to this and you're a parent, don't just watch the first 10 minutes and don't just watch the first episode. You
Mhm.
need to watch the middle and the end, and you need to move about episode 6 or 7, because that's where the shit starts. Because they know parents will look at the first 5 or 10 minutes of the first 2 or 3 episodes and say, okay, my kid can watch this. By episode 6, they're telling her it's okay for adults to look at her privates. I don't remember
Yeah.
what show that was, but I actually wrote to fucking Netflix, and pretty much my daughter
Big
got
Mouth.
everybody
It
she
was
knew.
the show Big Mouth.
Oh,
that-
Big Mouth. Big Mouth is such fucking degenerate trash. The show
Yeah,
Big
it's
Mouth.
telling
Really?
middle schoolers it's okay to masturbate and be perverse and go fuck, and that show is
Ah.
disgusting.
Well, it is okay to
Oh my
masturbate,
God.
I mean, it's the one toy your mom can't take away.
but
No, I just remember my brother and his wife had YouTube Kids for their children on
Oh, you got to watch out there too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was the thing, as I said, make sure you're watching what they're watching. It's like, oh, everything on there is already vetted for kids. I'm like, no. One thing that they put on the rotation is queer kids stuff. And
Oh, God.
my sister-in-law immediately, like, ears perked up, and she goes, what's queer kids stuff? And I showed her an episode, and instantly she went through and manually are like, no, that one's okay, this is not, this is okay, this is not okay, here's your playlist, kids. And now the kids only watched the playlist that she created for them, did not put it on random. And it's like, thank fucking God.
YouTube Kids had Elsa and Spider-Man, as well as the other Elsa one where she would
God.
cast magic on Olaf and he'd lift up in the air, and
Yes.
her and her sister would be looking in the air, and vanilla ice cream would come down and pour over their faces. It's like Olaf is
Yeah.
literally sitting on their faces,
Yes, he is.
and it was okay for kids.
okay for kids.
No, it's not. I mean, I watched. I was like, is the snowman shitting on their faces?
Okay, so I'm looking at Big Mouth and who created it.
created
Don't
Big
say it.
Yeah, be careful.
Be careful.
Oh, well, no, I was going to say that the creators were Jennifer Flackett, who is best known for literally nothing. Oh, she's best known for being married to Mark Levin. That's it. That's her credit. She's known for being
Wow.
whoever Mark Levin is. The other main person, the other big creator was this guy named Andrew Goldberg, whose only other credit is writing for Family Guy, and that's it.
There's degenerate trash. Family Guy
That's it.
turned into trash. Look at the
Yeah.
early life.
Yeah, so Jennifer Flackett, who is known for being married to someone, and Andrew Goldberg, who's did Family Guy.
Well, let's not forget everybody tried to claim that that Red Panda movie was not about child sexualization. I watched it, and I told my daughter, you need to watch this, and you need to seriously look at what they're doing. Because at first she was like, oh, it's just she turns into a panda. She got to the bathroom scene where she's charging people to come into the bathroom and take pictures of her in her panda form in a bathroom stall.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's not forget what she said. I'll go to the party. It's $200, and they can see my panda, but no touching.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. The pandas are period. No, it's not. The pandas are cunt.
Yeah.
The panda is her underage pussy.
Yes.
Long Leg
Okay.
Larry says we should. He says, I'm not going to speak ill of Big Mouth's creators. Just do not look up their early life section on Wikipedia.
No.
Well, now
do
we
not.
gotta.
You know what that
No,
means.
no.
Right?
You know what that
No.
means, right? I'll
That's
tell you after the
code.
show. I'll tell you after
Okay,
the show
yeah,
what
I
it's
don't
code
know
for.
that. Sorry, I live under a rock,
means
people.
Janelle,
Hmm.
it means the exact same thing as every fucking time.
Okay, no, that's
Well,
not ringing a
we'll
bell
clue
either.
you in. We'll clue you in after the show.
Remember,
Yeah,
I
I
live
think so.
under a rock, people. I don't know everything.
I spent too
And
much time on the
everyone
internet.
in the chat, that's what the Discord is for. So,
Yes, please don't. But yeah, and they got rid of the Amazons to replace them with these garbage people. I mean, look,
God, I
okay,
hate
the one that should have been an Amazon, the one that should have been a big-titted, flowing hair, I can take on any man, I can karate chop Skeletor in the fucking face, hoorah, was Tila. Now, number one, they bait and switched you. It shouldn't have said He-Man. It should have said The Adventures of Tila and these other 4 bitches. Okay?
Yeah.
But then they made Tila into a dude.
Yeah.
And she had all the empathy of a rock, because let's not forget this famous thing. I died for everyone. Yeah, and left us to live with it. Man, fuck you, bitch.
Yeah.
Wait a
He
minute.
died saving the fucking world, and you're gonna bitch because he didn't tell you he was He-Man?
And you left us to live with it. No. Well, that was one complaint, but the other complaint was you died and left us to live with it.
Yeah, you know, fuck Kevin
getting
Smith.
angry at He-Man.
Yeah, that He-Man sacrificed his life to save everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she got mad at him for it.
Yeah, thankless fucking bitch.
So wait, so it's like, I died for your sins so mankind could be redeemed. How dare you?
But, no, you left us to live with the fact that you're dead.
Yeah.
It's like, you selfish, empathyless, compassionless bitch. And and they tout these as, oh, these are good for girls. Really? What's good? What is good? She's ungrateful. She's self-centered. She's narcissistic. She looks like she got her kid. She looks, oh God, I don't know what she looks like. She looks like a dude. And they give these to girls, and oh fuck, I mean, I watched this shit because my kids grew up in the 90s and the early aughts, and it was tough because my kids take after my wife. My wife's a good farm girl, and they took after her, and all this shit against women who were built like them, and all this shit, and they say, oh, it's uplifting other people. No, you're cutting down anyone who dares to be the slightest bit better. And it started in the 60s and 70s when anytime anybody would be a hero, the press would comb through everything to find the slightest thing to run article after article and tear them down. I mean, that is the moral of Rollerball. Rollerball was prophetic in you're not allowed to have heroes. Nobody's allowed to be
Yeah.
heroic. Nobody's allowed to be better than anybody else. Everybody has to be interchangeable.
Rollerball is a great film. A little slow, but a great damn film. And yeah,
Oh yeah. And if you just
corporations run
focus,
the world. Yeah.
if you just focus on the rollerball aspect, you miss the big part.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Uh,
and they took away the Amazons, and what about the girls? And I hate this because this is going to tie back into something. And sorry about your channel, Ishi, but it ties back into male to females competing in women's sports.
Mm-hmm.
You all have heard me rant about that before.
oh,
You know,
Ralt, stop apologizing. This is what this channel's about.
you
One
know,
of the
and
reasons I
what
wrote this book.
the
Part
reason
of
why
it
that was.
is, how did we get to a point where girls were cutting their tits off and trying to be men?
Well, the big thing is they support these, the powers that be support these men going into women's sports, because then it takes these women that excel, that have spent years, decades honing their bodies and have a natural skill at something, a natural aptitude for something, and allows them to be crushed by losers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so once again, here you have the powers that be telling women you can't be exceptional because here's a mediocre man come to take your medals. And it enrages me because it's not empowering. It's not empowering for women. If the man wants to be empowered, why don't you run in your own league? And anybody who tells me, oh, men don't have a natural advantage is either a liar with something to fucking sell you or or they're part of the doctrine or has never run a mile.
Well, the fact that high school boys routinely beat FloJo's record
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
track.
I mean, usually we'd start out. Usually, I know, but we got to do it. The kid don't get out. But usually, if you look at teenage boys, okay. If you look at teenage boys cross country stats, and then you look at like Olympic caliber females, they're really close.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, and they get rid of these, and so girls don't have any. By getting rid of the Amazons, by destroying sports, and now by destroying academics, they get rid of both boys and girls heroes. I'm tired of hearing, what if Superman was just an evil bastard? We have Black Adam for that. They have gone.
Superman got raped in prison. That's what we need.
Yeah.
God, I hated that fucking story. As a hardcore Superman fan, that was disgusting. That was unnecessary. That was just as unnecessary as Sue Dibney being raped by Dr. Light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have spent since the 60s tearing down heroes. I mean, for fuck's sake, you had huge articles in fanzines and sci-fi mags and, all kinds of magazines about how this person wasn't actually a hero. And it all traces back to these fucking commies. And it also traces back to the boomer narcissism. Nobody can be better than me. Because holy fuck. Sorry, I'm on a tear about them because of a recent thing that's been going on.
That's okay.
Because of what?
A recent thing that's been going on.
Well, there's two comic book writers that are boomers that excelled at deconstruction of superheroes, Alan Moore and Frank Miller.
I'm going to argue that
I'll argue with.
Alan Moore is a piece of shit. Frank Miller, the thing with Frank Miller is I would argue that you can say he deconstructed Batman. I would actually say he didn't.
I'm talking more about his Daredevil run.
Oh. Well, even in Daredevil with Born Again, he was taken to his lowest low and reborn a hero again. So I don't know if I could really tear that up. Now, I haven't read all of his Daredevil run, but I did read Born Again.
Well, that was supposed to be part of deconstruction, was you tear it all the way down and then you take the parts and you rebuild it.
Yeah, and he comes back after his lowest point. But the thing with Batman is he reinvented the Batman myth with Year One, which is probably one of the best things he ever wrote.
Oh
don't know
no,
if
I
you
have
ever-
year one.
Yeah.
I guess I just got tired of the constant Dark Knight stories.
Yeah. But the first Dark Knight Returns started as a deconstruction, but then in the end, he rises to be a hero again and mentors the next generation. So, reconstruction. He builds them back up.
And
So
Al-
I'm not
and
so hard on Frank Miller. Alan Moore's a dirtbag.
Alan
All
Moore
Alan Moore does is take
deconstructs.
other people's properties and tear them up.
Or completely, what's the word I'm looking for? It makes it into smut.
Yeah, I don't think there's been an original Alan Moore property that anyone cares about.
Well,
I mean,
Undead
Lord.
Quinn brings up a point too that his writing is very grapey, if you know what we mean.
Yeah.
Oh,
likes to-
very, very rapey. There's rape in almost every single one of his stories.
Dude, even in
Alan-
the Miracle Man stories, he had Kid Miracle Man raped, and Kid Miracle Man turns into Kid Miracle Man during the rape and eviscerates everyone, and then goes on a murder rampage. Like, fuck.
He had Harry Potter killing people with his dick. Seriously.
Wait, what?
let
I've
me
never
look
heard
this
of
up.
that.
What?
Let me try and find it.
Well, Alan Moore deconstructs it and then shoves some of the pieces up his ass, loses the rest in his beard, and then dances around like he's a wizard.
You
He's
know,
not impressive.
Alan Moore is essentially a failed L. Ron Hubbard. Seriously. He wanted to be a wizard cult leader and he fucking failed. Oh, it was in the extreme. There it is. In the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, he does a story arc where a British teenage boy with hereditary magical abilities named Harry James Potter,
Oh, God.
who went to the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, sometimes referred to as the Invisible College. He basically is the villain in a story run for, he's the Antichrist, apparently, in one of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen runs. And at one point, his magic wand is destroying everything, and it's his dick.
Wonderful.
The guy...
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is where Alan Moore takes characters he hates and just destroys them. Because, and we're talking about rape again, he had Mr. Hyde rape the Invisible Man to death.
Well, it's worse. He turned the Invisible Man into a fucking rapist.
Yeah.
In general. And which if you read the book, the Invisible Man is the opposite of. He has no interest in love or romance. I mean, even the movie, the original 1930s movie, put more romance into the Invisible Man than is in the actual story.
Well, I actually like that in the movie with Sean Connery. They made the Invisible Man more like the Invisible Man. I even like the whole twist. Like, is he really the bad guy? No, he's been spying on everybody the whole time and was a good guy.
And let's rip on someone else while we're at it. Another fucking Brit that isn't Warren Ellis, who's also a douchebag. Grant Morrison, what the hell are you doing? Grant, why do you want to be Alan Moore? That's all you are. You are the Alan Moore wannabe. You know, you have talent. You can write stories, but instead you just try aping Alan Moore. It's like, you're the bald Alan Moore fanboy wannabe. Stop it.
Dude, okay, I told you guys that I bought the Proctor Valley Road story that he wrote because Proctor Valley is the most haunted road in America, and I lived 15 minutes away from it. It was in basically Steve's backyard growing up. I fucking hated that book. You know why? Because it takes place in Chula Vista in the 1970s. It's 4 girls who get into trouble with all the monsters on the Proctor Valley Road. And the reason they're out there is because one girl is dead set that they're all going to see Janis Joplin. And they attract all the monsters and everything. And they leave the 3 boys behind that they brought out there to fleece money off them so they can go to the fucking concert. One burns to death. The other one gets his hand ripped off by the Proctor Valley monster and then is kidnapped. And so you have the black chick and her brother who are like, you know, Vietnam War bad, black people being murdered. You have the fat cousin who's a chain smoker. You have the Mexican girl who has OCD and ADHD and is also a germaphobe. And then you have the white chick leader who all she gives a shit about is going to fucking see Janis Joplin. And she keeps getting everybody in trouble and getting, like I said, they left those 3 boys behind to die. And then when the cops are getting ready to take them to jail, they decide to go back and find the 2 other boys that didn't die. And then at the end, the boys aren't even mad at them for rescuing them. They're said that they were their heroes.
At least Debbie does Dallas. She just gave blowjobs to get to Dallas.
Yeah.
So,
I couldn't
who wrote
fucking
that
believe
story?
this book.
That was Grant Morrison?
Yes. Okay,
Well, there you
like I
go.
said, Proctor Valley Road is a big fucking deal where I'm from. And it fucking blew. Very angry about that. I grew up with those fucking stories.
Okay. Alan Moore actually has done more reconstruction after the work for feeling terrible about his unintended. I disagree. He does not feel bad about it. He gets off on it. He's
The only
talked quite
thing-
extensively about how much he enjoys tearing these things down.
Yeah,
The
I
only
gotta
thing he
disagree too,
hates-
Dominic. Yeah, no, he loves tearing them down. It's
Supreme
bad.
was a work for hire. It was just him writing, Golden Age Superman for hire. Tom
The
Strong, I never got into, and Top 10 could have been good, but God, just stop preaching, you piece of shit. Stop preaching.
The only thing Alan Moore hates is that people thought the wrong person was the good guy.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
character that was ripping on The Question and Mr. A. The character he created to make fun of libertarians,
Mm-hmm.
specifically Ditko.
And you watch that again, he's the good guy.
Yeah, he is. Oh,
Yeah.
And he's got a reason for it. I mean, a lot of people like, oh, he's got a reason for it. He fucking arrested that dude before he shows up and the fucking dogs that eaten the little girl. I mean, I like to think I'm a moral guy, but I'd have fucking murdered that dude. If I was in his shoes as a superhero,
Yeah.
I'd have been like, this arresting these motherfuckers ain't working because that's a dead little girl. It's time to
well,
get
the
Mrs.
thing is, he has no powers.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
the other thing that was great. He was just a normal guy.
I haven't seen the movie, but I read the book, and I thought Rorschach was the hero.
Yeah, I
from
did too.
beginning to
I
end.
did too. Rorschach's amazing.
No,
So,
Ozymandias
do not
was
compromise.
supposed to be the hero.
Do not compromise.
No,
In Alan Moore's mind, Ozymandias was the hero.
Why? He didn't do anything.
Well, no, he murdered all of New York.
Oh, that's right. Ozymandias. I was thinking of fucking
Owlman.
Owlman. Yeah, Ozymandias is the hero by murdering millions.
mm-hmm.
That just shows the kind of mindset you're dealing with. It's okay to murder millions as long as we get the outcome I want.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, he is. Well, there you go. Yeah,
That's Alan Moore.
fucking Marxist.
And it
Be an
fucking drives
anarchist,
me crazy.
but he claims to be an anarchist, but
He claims to be an anarchist, but his fat ass would last 10 minutes before he was on a spit.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love anarchists. Oh, people will just naturally band together. Yeah, that's called community.
Yeah.
Well, it would be anarchy. No, it wouldn't, because whoever's got the guns is going to tell you to go out there and plow the fucking field because they're not going to support your fat ass. Anarchy is fourth grade gym forever and ever.
yeah.
Yes, one gigantic game of dodgeball.
Well, and the Amazon thing, God, I mean, even my wife and I have talked about it, especially when the girls were growing up.
No, I don't mind. I wrote a whole book on this, man.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, we talked about it when the girls were growing up because, my wife had, Wonder Woman and Margaret Houlihan. And believe it or not, even the female characters from Little House on the Prairie.
Oh God,
I
yeah.
mean, tell me those women couldn't make it through anything,
Mhm.
Oh dear, the barn's on fire. There's 6 feet of flood water, a tornado coming. We'll be fine. Because, let's not forget in the early episodes, Pa Ingalls falls out of the fucking tree helping out and breaks his ribs.
Mhm.
And the women are out there fucking throwing bags. And let's not forget the other part when hail destroyed the crops and he went off to work at the quarry. She got all the town's women together and she quoted Bible verses about Ruth threshing the wheat, and they went out there and threshed enough wheat to make it through the winter, while the men were out there fucking working at the quarry. You know, they were Amazons, and they got rid of stuff like Laura Ingalls and her family. They got rid of Wonder Woman. They got rid of the real Shira. They got rid of the real Tila. They got rid of any woman with any kind of competence, because instead of her innate strength and her innate nobility of being a woman, she is special because of magical powers. She's
Well-
special because she is. Because everybody tells her she is.
Yeah, this whole feminist thing was such a failure that really the most enduring superhero to come out of the 90s was
What, Power Girl?
Sailor
Spawn.
Moon.
Oh, Sailor Moon. Yes.
I was gonna say Lady Death.
No, because she had a sense of duty and honor. And even though she was a fuck up, she ate too much, she didn't use her powers very well, she still, at the end of the day, did what needed to be done.
Yeah,
Even
and they got
self-sacrifice.
Right,
and they got rid of these to give us potato people.
right.
I mean, let's bring up Life is Strange.
Oh,
Kat gave me the statistics that 94% of women chose to save their dipshit, selfish, narcissistic fuck up friend
mhm.
rather than the town. And I love people. Kat's seen this on Twitter. I have too. Oh, well, the town was full of drunks and abusers. Well, what about all the kids?
Yeah.
Well, too bad.
What about
all the women?
They didn't
What-
know.
Yeah, what about all the women? You know, I say, because it actually, there's a line in there that sums that game up, and it sums up so much of what I see. Because if I don't blame them, I have to blame myself, and fuck that.
Yeah.
You know, look at Captain Marvel. That movie I watched that movie, and God, that movie made me so mad. She is the worst superhero to give to little girls.
Mhm.
How did she get her power? By touching the stove. She was told not to touch the stove, but she touched the stove, and now she has power. She's told to control her emotions, control her powers. What does she do? She doesn't. What's her special ability? If she trips, she gets back up. You know, it shows all these things. Oh, she fell during T-ball, but she stood back up. Oh, it is her power is like budget version of Captain America standing back up after he's gotten, you know, after the Hulk's jumped up and down on him. Captain America stands up and goes, "That all you got?" Captain Marvel was told she couldn't be a pilot, but then she became one.
Well, don't forget, Ralts, also, she cheated to get ahead in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Well, okay, that's accurate.
But I mean, these are what they're giving little girls. And this is bullshit. Little girls deserve better. Little girls deserve, you know, the Amazon, the Paragon. You know, Paragons are good for kids.
I'm also going to argue little boys need better for what to look for in the women that they would eventually, date
God.
and marry.
Yeah.
God. I mean, I love women, but I sound like a misogynist nowadays. I love women. I really do.
No, go. What you have said, I have said. Do it.
But
Go with it.
modern women are the most narcissistic, catered to, pampered, and patted and protected in all of human history. I mean, there are tons of laws protecting them, advancing them, supporting them. In no time in human history have women been treated like modern women in the West. And fuck, you see it all the fucking time. And they act like at any second rape gangs are going to descend on them. You know, you hear that, 4 in 5 women have been the victims of rape. Okay, number one, that's wrong. The statistic was different. And number two, if that was true, we'd be worse off than Somalia. Actually, we'd be worse than Rwanda during the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
And they classified rape in that study as made to feel uncomfortable.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
Let's not forget that one fucking study, which was just, I know I can't remember it, so never mind. The whole thing of the rule of thumb is how wide it's allowed to be to beat your wife.
Never
Okay,
true. Never
true.
Totally made up by feminists in
Mhm.
the 70s.
The rule of thumb refers to carpentry and masonry. Measure with your thumb. So
Yeah,
your
they made
thumb's
up a
rough.
lot of shit.
The last knuckle to the tip of your thumb is roughly an inch, rule of thumb. And but all you hear is how they're oppressed, they're oppressed, they're oppressed. And now you hear, oh, women are like 68% of college graduates, and women are 62% of the top earner, getting these high-end jobs. And then they're like, but they can't find men. Well, why not? Why can't you? Well, they want someone better than them. Okay, look, you can't be Hercules. Well, actually, you can't be Hera, and then throw Zeus off his throne, and then bitch, there's no men around.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that. And all of this is nothing more than infantilization. I mean, like I said earlier in the stream, women are both simultaneously the world's biggest helpless victims who need the state to intervene in everything and able to do everything better than you. Which is it? I mean, choose. And I love it how you see all these female to male transsexuals going, it's so hard being a man. Well, yeah, it is. Welcome to life. Nobody likes me. Welcome to being a guy. People
Mhm.
cross the street. Welcome to being a guy. People don't want to associate with me. Welcome to being a guy. Women don't want to talk to me. Welcome to being a guy.
Look, women say I'm creepy.
Well,
Yeah,
oh.
I was in Walmart like a couple weeks ago. It was the day I had a really bad day. And this woman gets in her car and starts it, and I run up my hammer on her window, and she rolls down her window and goes, I have a boyfriend. And I said, we got a baby on top of the car in a car seat, and walked away.
Oh, shit.
She left her fucking kid on top of her car.
Jesus.
But no, what's her first line out of her mouth? I have a boyfriend.
I'm like, don't
I
care.
don't give a fuck. I got a wife. I got a wife who likes me. Not only is she married to me, she still likes me. But it's this whole, it's ridiculous. And and then the media out there, Sex in the City fucked up an entire generation.
Mhm.
Yes.
Agreed.
I love women, but holy fuck, get your shit together.
Carrie
No,
Bradshaw is one of the most selfish, narcissistic, horrible people created
I don't even know who
in
that is.
media.
I don't even know who that is.
Unreal how she cheated on her significant others.
Mm-hmm.
She was loose as hell, basically. I mean, all she cared about was herself and just getting people to go have random hookups. I mean,
Degenerate.
and meanwhile, there's the character Charlotte who just wanted to get married and have kids, and they mocked her all the time.
Yeah.
It's funny, they spend all this time talking about, oh, I don't have kids and I'm 35 and I've gotten to travel the world. Well, here's the thing, lady. When you die and your cats eat your face and they throw your dildos in the garbage, you've ceased to exist.
Mm-hmm.
You've left nothing. No one will remember you. And while you're laying there and the cats are eating your face, someone has already said your name for the last time.
Yeah.
I mean, but they fucking farm this out to women as this is what you want to be. And it's like, holy fuck. They're like, oh, if I get married, I'm a man's slave. Go fuck yourself.
The question is, why did they fall for it, though? That's the one I get. Why do they fall for it?
You want the real reason?
Yeah.
Because they're children.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The women who fall for it are children. The women who fall for it don't want to take responsibility, don't want to be responsible for their own actions, don't want to face the repercussions of their own actions, and they want all the privileges and rewards of being an adult and being a successful adult with none of the responsibility
Or work.
Mm-hmm.
or work. Yep, work is part of the responsibility. And the media has catered to these people. They've shown these people over and over and over, from the fact of, oh, I work in a bakery making cupcakes part-time, but I have a Manhattan apartment. I'm a part-time pet therapist, but I own a $2 million home and drive a brand new car, and I wear $20,000 in jewelry when I go to the fucking soy shop in these $50,000 sweats. They've been selling this to women. And it started with those chicks standing up there going, it would cost $30,000 to replace what a woman does in the home. Well, that's great because I make $45,000 and you spend all my fucking money. My wife knew the deal. My wife was like, okay, yeah, it would take, I do, we had the agreement. Whoever's at home with the kids, whichever one of us ends up works. I got busted up young, would do the household responsibilities. The other person would do the other stuff. She knew that if, they're like, oh, if you take in everything a woman has to do. Remember this shit? You see it in the fucking videos of the 60s. If you take in everything a woman does for her husband, it would cost X amount. Okay, well, now do the inverse. Show how much he's bringing in. Show what he does for her. Oh, no, you won't. And they bought into this because Hollywood and the media has shown nothing but single women happy and dominating, and they're dancing around in Paris. Well, you go to Paris nowadays, you're going to get raped. Man or woman, you're going to get raped.
Yeah.
And they bought into this because they have spent 50 years pumping this into people's heads. 50 years. 50 fucking years. And it goes back to the whole fucking thing of getting rid of the Amazon. Because the Amazon took responsibility for her actions. The Amazon accepted the consequences of her own actions. And the Amazon embraced her responsibilities. So they have to get rid of her because personal responsibility is like kryptonite to modern women.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the first thing they scream? We need to make a law, so you need the power of the state.
Yeah. You need daddy to take care of it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're always saying that women don't want responsibility.
No, they don't. Well, rule number 1, it's all about me. Rule number 2, I don't want responsibility.
That's what she told me to think whenever I'm trying to figure out, why did a woman do that?
Yeah.
That's what she told me.
Remove all accountability and responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife hates it.
You're quoting Jack Nicholson there.
Yeah. My wife hates it. My wife absolutely hates it. Because here she is trying to raise her daughters to accept responsibilities for their actions. Look at the consequences of their own actions, and they are being bombarded from every direction with, "You're a girl, so nothing's your fault."
How many listeners of ours, female listeners, say the exact same thing your wife does? We've heard that so many times from our listeners.
I can't imagine what she's gone through trying to deprogram that shit and fight that shit. I mean, I know what Janelle has been going through to try to counteract the shit that Chris runs into. All right.
Yeah. Well, you guys, we were getting ready for that game, and you guys heard me tell my granddaughter, and why did that happen? And she went, the consequences of my own actions.
Yes.
That was great.
I remembered that.
She was crying because the consequences of her own actions. And, nobody teaches their kids that anymore. Then why did that happen? Because I did it. Oh, the kid put his hand on the stove. Well, instead of telling the kid, well, don't do that anymore, dumbass, we need to come up with new government regulations to make it safe for kids to put their hands on the stove.
Yeah, I'm sick of that.
Oh God.
No, there was a comedian from the 90s I used to love listening to. He unfortunately got TDS. But Christopher Titus, are you familiar with him?
He used to be great. He used to be great.
He was wonderful. It's that his whole routine of wait, let the kid learn, that whole routine. We don't have that anymore.
No, we don't. Yeah, my dad was a combination of Red Foreman and Titus's dad. You combine them both, and that was my dad.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm serious. I didn't get it word for word, but the whole thing when the kid comes in to Titus's dad and goes, "Daddy, teacher said we could be president." And the dad looks at her, "She wasn't talking to you, son. Now go back in the backyard and practice digging holes." I got that lecture.
Shit.
And more people need to fucking learn to dig holes. Now, actually, you asked where we're going, Ishi. You asked me repeatedly where we're going. We can't make icebreakers anymore. We can't build ships anymore the way we used to.
Fuck, what?
We have a problem in the shipwright industry. Half the people, well, actually, nobody knows how to do a bunch of the old stuff. and we only
My
have something like
Dad would
14,000
be
shipwrights.
turning in his grave. Seriously.
Nobody
Uh,
knows how the internet's backbone works anymore.
Oh God.
The people who were responsible for COBOL and Pascal are aging out and dying because nobody would pay anybody to learn from these guys, and colleges wouldn't hire them because college wants the new shiny stuff. Nobody. I was reading a thing about dams, and they're having problems finding people to help build new dams because nobody is teaching how to do it.
oh,
So it
But
really
of
is
course-
idiocracy. Everything's falling apart,
No,
and
no,
there's
you know what
nobody there
this
to fix
is?
it.
You know what this is? This is the legacy of the boomers saying you
Yep.
got to have a liberal arts degree.
It's also the
Everybody
legacy.
needs a fucking liberal arts degree.
It's also the legacy of the boomers telling their children, "I'm not going to teach you how to do what I do because then you might replace me." And it's
Yeah.
also the problem of the boomers in corporate America going, "Hey, we want you to teach these guys how to do what you're doing," and you teach them, and then they fire you.
Yeah.
It all traces back to greed. And now we have, I mean, I was watching some guys trying to fix the street. I've worked with pavement. I've worked with asphalt. Apparently one of the guys didn't show up for work and nobody knew how to use the asphalt machine.
Oh no.
An 8-man crew and not one person knows how to lay down asphalt. I thought it was funnier than shit because my dumb high school dropout ass knows how to do it. But hey, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Everything is falling apart. Look at the roads, the bridges, the FAA's infrastructure is falling. It's all falling apart because everybody got a liberal arts degree. Well, congratulations.
Well-
You can give us feminist dance theory on why people are oppressed. I'm sure that'll do great when the lights turn off.
Well, I distinctly remember growing up from my parents and from every fucking teacher I had, which was, oh, don't you want to go to, you need to go to college and get a liberal arts degree. Otherwise, you're going to be poor. Oh, don't learn a trade. Don't learn, it was always, don't learn manual labor.
No.
You remember that?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, no, poor people do those jobs.
My dad used to say the world needs ditch diggers too. And it's true. I still remember I'd been in the military for like a year and a half, but before I left, I had signed up for Washington State ODOT. And I was there and I got accepted to Flagger School. I was so fucking mad. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm stuck in this shithole. Because it was, it was in the 1980s and they're offering me 14, 15 hours starting out to go to school. I was like, God damn it. I could have been a flagger. Flaggers make big bucks.
The other thing the boomers did is they went on the mentality that the infrastructure would always be there.
Yes.
When it came time to upkeep it, no, they defunded every fucking thing. They're always going, oh, school overcrowding. Well, that's very interesting because you guys outnumber Gen X, but yet we're going to the exact same schools you did.
Mm-hmm.
These are the identical schools you guys went to, and they're overcrowded. Why? Because there are more boomers than Gen Xers. So why is it overcrowded?
Your name is literally carved into the desk I'm sitting at. Your name is literally in the textbook I'm reading. No, it was they had to work now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's it's going to take generations to fix this problem if we can, because it's not just America. It's Western Europe.
Well, I think Western Europe's lost, honestly.
Western Europe's gone. Western Europe's fucked.
I think Western Europe's done.
And they did it to themselves.
Yeah. Because of the fuck you attitude of Americans, I think we'll pull through eventually.
Yeah, I think we will. Because the big thing is all these people that are telling us how to behave and everything, they don't have kids and they're dying off.
They don't.
No.
So there's nobody to tell us now.
Or if they do, they sterilize their children and tell them they're a girl.
Yep. My daughter had to deal with attention from boys, and she did not handle it well. My youngest daughter, is very beautiful, and she hid herself her whole high school in hoodies and everything because she didn't like the attention. She hated the attention, and she's deaf. She was deaf on top. She has periodic
Oh.
deafness episodes. She goes between hypersensitivity and deafness. So she hid herself in all these baggy clothes. And the last week of school, she wore dresses. People literally didn't recognize her. And I asked her one time, why do you dress like that? I mean, is this something I need to know about? Now we're sitting in the truck and I pulled over by the side of the road. And I'm like, and she knows that means we're going to talk. You know, we got out of the truck and sat on the tailgate and I was like, is there anything you need to tell me? And she was like, I don't want to say because I'll sound like a racist. I was like, well, we're out in the middle of a field, so sound like a racist. I was like, my grandpa fought in World War One. I don't think you're gonna, I don't think you're gonna sound too racist to me, honey. And she told me what was going on, and she didn't like the attention, and she didn't like the very forward attention and very physical attention she got in middle school. I was like, why didn't you tell me? Because I would have went into the middle school swinging. She's like, because I told the principal, and he called me a racist.
Oh,
like,
jeez.
I think I'll go to the school and have a talk with him. And she's like, no, please don't. I'm like, okay. But anyway, she didn't like the attention. But what she did was, you know, she should have told me. And that's instead of telling me, you know, hey, the school told me I'm a racist for hiding you know, not wanting these boys to grope me and reach under my dress and, you know, reach into, you know, in class and sneakily reach on, you know, there was this boy who would sit behind her and reach around and run his hand along her waist and try to slide his hand up her shirt, and she complained to the teachers and was called a racist.
Oh God.
God.
So
And
were these boys of a certain pallor?
More like boys whose family didn't have green cards.
Ah,
Didn't have what?
green cards.
Oh, yeah.
And they will treat kids terribly. They will treat girls terribly. If they think they can get away with it. And the school was all like, and she was like, well, I'm gonna tell my daddy. And they're like, if your daddy comes in here, we'll suspend you.
Oh.
And I was like, you know, if you had told me that, I would have went down there with lawyers. I went down there with lawyers and guns. But I asked her, and she said there was no help. So she dressed up in baggy clothing, and everybody forgot what she looked like. And she told me, and I was like, you know what? You're a girl. Your mother. Why don't you talk to your mother? You know, your mother will, if you want to, I'll sign you up for self-defense classes, and we'll buy you. You're old enough. You know, you'll be old enough soon. When you get old enough, I'll buy you a pistol. And she was like, well, that's not the answer to everything. I said, I don't know. Solves Hiroshima's fucking little red rocket. But girls nowadays don't have, and a lot of girls don't have a parent who will be like, no, honey, you're not a racist. It's just people are touching your body without your permission, and you're allowed not to like that.
Yeah.
And instead of being able to go, hey, this kid keeps groping me, friend of mine, his daughter would be in school, and this fucking kid would climb under her desk and lift her skirt up to stare at her crotch, and she'd kick him, and she'd get in trouble for kicking him. This is the kind of shit that is going on in the public schools.
Yes.
They are
Thanks,
catering to
liberalism.
these. They are catering to these little molesting fucks.
Thanks, liberalism.
Yep. And as they get older, their behavior gets worse. I mean, Janelle's talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God. There's oh, hold on, Steve. What's the? Oh, never mind. You can't talk. There is a newspaper in San Diego. It's not the Union Tribune, and it's not the San Diego Raider. It's the Voice of San Diego. We're going into talking about how there is sexual assault in San Diego Unified School Districts, and they're telling the kids to not say anything and are trying to cover it up.
Mhm.
I mean, like, we're talking perpetrators will follow victims into bathrooms and sodomize them and then walk out like it's no big deal.
A good friend of mine had her daughter go into the bathroom, and a boy followed her in there and molested her. And, you know, she told her mom. And all of a sudden, the cameras didn't work. When she
Of
went to the
course.
school and said, I want that video, all of a sudden the cameras didn't work. And she knows, she's positive that boy had been following her daughter into the bathroom for months. And see, this is what pisses me off. You know, the whole Me Too went right until girls stood up and said, hey, I'm being molested by your pet. You know, be it a politician, be it a certain, you know, if they've got a D next to their name, oh no, now you're a lying whore. You know.
Do you remember when Larry David had the massive backlash against him for saying exactly what you did?
Mhm. Remember when that girl came out and said, "Yeah, I'm the girl who was in that photo shoot, and Biden spent the entire time playing with my nipple."
Yeah.
And she actually
What?
had to fucking change her name.
Wait, when did this? I don't remember that. I've seen him sniff kids and do other
When she
horrible
was,
shit.
it was when he was vice president. He stood right
Mhm.
there and played with her nipple during the whole fucking press thing.
Mhm.
Oh my god, how old was she?
9.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Oh yeah, watch his hands in some of those older videos. Why do you think they don't have kids near him very much? But she came out, and all of a sudden, Me Too ended. Right there is where that.
Yeah,
And I
you're right.
think
That is exactly where it ended.
that's where it ended. All of a sudden, it went from believe all women to lying whore.
Mhm.
And see, I've always trusted but verified because I knew these fucking, women that would be like, "Oh, he raped me. Did he? Yes. Okay. Before I go get my brass knuckles and my 45, I want to ask a question. What was going on? Well, we had sex, and the next day I realized that I didn't mean to. That's not rape."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it went, so it was always trust but verify. But now these women come up and say, "Hey, this guy pushed me down and anally raped me in the bathroom, and the cops beat her parents up." And it's once again, it's because an Amazon would teach you, Wonder Woman would teach you to stand up for yourself.
Right.
Mhm.
Wonder Woman would teach you to stand up for yourself. The original Shira would teach you to go. The original Shira actually went on TV and told you to tell a trusted adult, and if the adult didn't listen to you, tell the police.
Yes. Yes, she did.
Modern Shira tells you to date them,
Yes.
Yeah.
and it's literally a war on it's a war on normal people.
Yeah, it
You know,
is.
It's not just it's making men feel that masculinity is bad and making women feel that femininity is bad, and
Mhm.
it's also a war on your body as your own. Gen X believe that our bodies were on. Stop fucking touching us, hippie. And they have been working for 20 or 30 years to teach these kids that their bodies aren't their own. I mean, how did OnlyFans convince a sizable percentage of American women that being a whore was okay?
Or feminist. It was a feminist thing to do.
Yeah. Why should I take you on a date when I can pay $5 and see your butthole? Because I'm gonna buy you dinner and you're gonna go home and show people your butthole for $5. So why should I go on a date? I can just get your OnlyFans.
If I get
Hey guys,
20
I have
guys
to go. It's 11
that-
o'clock.
Yeah,
Oh.
okay. We're gonna call it an evening.
Yeah.
Once
I'm
again,
sorry. Oh no, you guys can
Boobs
keep
of
going.
Steel, available now on Amazon. Covers a lot of what we talked about tonight. And Ralt, I really want you to read the book now after everything you said.
I was reading it while we were doing stuff. I was
Okay.
skimming it.
Very cool.
I'll read it
And
again.
Ralt's books are also linked
Yes.
in the description.
Behold humanity. Good
Yep,
night,
have a good-
everybody.
Don't step on any
Night.
dicks.